Hey guys, how you guys doing? I think everything is working. I guess just message me to make sure everything's fine. But yeah, no, we're starting the stream. Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is the Raptor, and welcome back to another Q&A live stream video. If you guys didn't get the memo, last time, yes, I did say that it was going to be the last Q&A that I did, at least for a while, and that was mostly true, but I thought it was kind of an abrupt way to end things, so I thought, might as well try one more live stream, for the people that really wanted to see one more. Yes, I do have a new background. I actually have a green screen, and I have a ring light behind the laptop. It's a pretty bad green screen, to be honest. You can see some kind of like unnecessary shadowing on each side, but I thought I might as well do something different. I thought this would be like a more focused scenery kind of thing. That's just the way I think it looks better that way. Okay, it looks like everyone's here. Everyone's saying hello. I guess if anything goes wrong with like the audio or the video, just let me know. I'm sure if something was going wrong right now, people would be letting me know. But yeah, I think everything is going fine. I do have a bit of a delay on this video. It's 3 minutes right now. But I will have to lower it if I find that it's really hard for me to keep up with stuff. So just making sure. Okay, starting off, I remember you said maybe, maybe not, but I see there might be a good chance for a fourth Kung Fu Panda movie. I'm wishing for a shipping between Poe and Tigress. I don't know if they've confirmed that. I don't know if that's something they have, if it is something they've confirmed or if it's something that's kind of been hinted at, then that's pretty cool. Personally, I liked the way that, that the third one ended, but I guess they could do another one if they really wanted to. Everyone's saying hello. Yes, hey guys, thank you so much for joining. Have you ever read the Amalgam comics, or do you know of Amalgam? I do know of Amalgam, assuming we're talking about the same Amalgam, like the Amalgam between Marvel and DC, right? I'm pretty sure. Yes, I have heard of that. I know of characters like Dark Claw. I believe what was the name of the guy, like Superman and Captain America? I don't really remember. But I know there was that guy as well. I haven't actually read any of them, but I am aware of them, and they seem like an interesting idea. And everyone's saying hi. Hi guys, thank you so much for joining. Hey, what up, Raptor? I'm doing pretty well. What's up with yourself? Everyone's saying hi. So yeah, I think we've caught up with the question. Oh no. Hi Raptor, my favorite matchup is Hulk versus Damage. All right, nice. Damage is like the DC version of Hulk, right? That's kind of like the way that the fans marketed him or something. It was kind of weird. Kind of like how Sideways was like the Spider-Man or whatever. Kind of a weird thing, but whatever. But yeah, no, that's all right. That's a pretty cool matchup. What movie moments made you rage quit? What movie moments made me rage quit? Because I've like rage quit at games before because like of stuff that was happening. In terms of movie moments, it's more TV actually for me. There are times where I'm watching TV and I'm thinking like, this is so dumb. Why do I keep watching this? And I just stop watching. If there was like a movie series that I stopped watching, or just like any point within a movie, it's hard for me to remember, but I'll see if I can think about that. I might get back to you on that. Hello, yes. Who would win, Dio from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure versus Dracula from Castlevania? To my knowledge, Dracula from Castlevania is just way too hard to kill and is just more powerful. Like, he has more power at his disposal and like better abilities and stuff. Dio is still really strong. Like, characters in JoJo's have some really quote-unquote bizarre powers, but I think that Dracula would probably win that. One thing I actually want to say before I keep talking about versus matchups, like I said in the last live stream, I don't spend a lot of my free time just researching characters just for the sake of researching characters and for the sake of debating, so I don't have a ton of information just readily available on characters all the time, So sometimes I just won't know the answer to versus debates, or I won't be able to give too many confident answers. Toph versus Terra. I think DC scaling probably leans it in Terra's favor, but I can't say for sure. I'm really only familiar with Terra from Teen Titans, so it's hard for me to say. If we're just looking at cartoon Toph versus cartoon Terra, then it might be closer, but if we're factoring in all the comics, then probably Terra. What Akatsuki, I always pronounce this wrong, Osawa from Aesthetics of a Rogue Hero be put in death battle? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I can come up with like a really satisfying matchup for any of them. Like, I'd be fine with seeing them analyzed in death battle. It's just a matter of, whether or not you can find a good matchup for them. How are you? I'm so hyped. Awesome. Thank you. I'm doing well. And I love the background. Thank you. Yes, I just picked something random. I just decided, hey, it's superheroes. Why not? Who wins? Movie Sonic versus Detective Pikachu. I've only seen the Sonic movie. I have not seen Detective Pikachu. I think, though, Sonic would win. Sonic is really powerful in that movie, like surprisingly powerful. But I might be just missing something. Hey Raptor, I've been meaning to catch one of your Q&A streams, but I've always been too late. Well, thank you for joining. I really appreciate that. Anyways, what do you think of my dream matchup? Mecha Sonic versus Cinder Fall. I'm not sure if I've heard that one before. Or Mecha Sonic from Super Mario Bros. Z. Oh, Super Mario Bros. Z. Okay. I'm not sure if I've heard that one before. Seems interesting enough. I actually am not super caught up with Cinder and what she's up to because I stopped watching Ruby a while ago because I guess I just lost interest. But yeah, seems okay. I think Death Battle should do a battle royale of 3 different protagonists of the Beyblade anime series. Okay, seems interesting. I'm not that familiar with Beyblade, so I'm not sure like what the protagonists are like or how they compare to each other in terms of power or anything like that. But it seems pretty cool. Who do you want for a character to be in Mortal Kombat 11? If you mean like a guest character, kind of like Spawn and Hellboy and or was that Injustice or whatever, you know, like those guest characters. That's interesting. Maybe Doomslayer. Maybe he'd be interesting for that. I'm trying to think of like those kinds of characters that you could just put in there. And like other kinds of comic characters like Spawn, like Invincible probably wouldn't work. But you know, stuff like that, yeah. Hi Raptor, how are you doing? I'm doing well, thank you. How are you? Deathstroke versus Taskmaster. This I actually did as a Who and Why a long time ago, and that was probably the hardest one I had to decide. I don't know who would win. I really don't. I feel like Deathstroke in many ways has better like abilities, like he has like better armor and he has, you know, his healing factor and all that, and he's a really skilled fighter. But Taskmaster also has like a really good arsenal, you know. He's got weapons on him, like not the same as Deathstroke's. They both have a lot of good weapons, but like he's also got the fighting styles of so many heroes and villains, and there is some street tier scaling you could give Taskmaster that might put it in his favor, but you know, it's still really close in my opinion. Who would win, Null or Madara Uchiha? I think Null would win that, just based on how powerful they've made him out to be over the years. My favorite matchup is Garfield versus Pusheen. It's weird, but I don't care because I love the characters in the matchup. You know what? Good for you. That's all you need. That's all you need. No one can tell you otherwise. If you love the matchup, that's great. Hey dude, who would win, Madara versus Xehanort from Kingdom Hearts? I think Xehanort would win. Again, just based on how powerful the Kingdom Hearts characters are, especially since Xehanort is like the main villain meant to challenge like everybody. I'm pretty sure Xehanort would win that, but that's just my opinion. Again, I could be wrong about any of these. Raptor, why you no mention Vader versus Belial? Is that how you pronounce that? Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. I'm assuming this is referring to my most recent video talking about the Dream Season. Again, that was just based on what people, or partially based on what people were saying in the Discord. And Vader versus Obito was suggested, and it got a lot of upvotes, so I just went with that one. Sorry. Who do you think would win between Jonathan and Tanjiro? I don't really want to answer questions about versus matchups that I might be making a prediction video for later. I think Tanjiro will probably be fighting Jonathan, so I don't really want to answer that because that's going to kind of spoil the prediction. Plus, I have not started doing research on characters yet, so honestly, I wouldn't even be able to tell you anyway. Is there a series that you will want to come to Death Battle that isn't popular? Yes, so many. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is not really in the public eye anymore, but I'd love to see it. Umbrella Academy as well. Star Trek. I'd love to see Star Trek come to Death Battle, you know? Again, Star Trek is pretty popular, but it's not like, you know, super popular, you know? But that kind of stuff, you know? There are a lot of things I'd like to see. Is there a series that you would want to... Oh, sorry, same question. Do you like Metroidvanias? If so, which is your favorite? I'm not sure if I know what that is. Maybe I've seen, like, a bit of that. But I don't think I really know what that is. So, sorry about that. But maybe I'll look into that. Do you have a favorite Death Battle Season 8 track? I can give you a few favorites because I like so many of them. If I were to say the one that I've been re-listening to the most, it'd be Chaos Unraveled. I love Chaos Unraveled. I also really like Thunder Shroud, and what is it? Heaven Over Hell, that's what they call it, right? Yeah, no, sorry, Hell Over Heaven, I believe that's what it is. And also Reverse Rosé, that's another good one. Those are just some of my favorites, though. If I had to pick a favorite right now, maybe Chaos Unravel, just because I'm listening to it so much. I think that Amalgam characters share feats from the characters that are fused with, like, Shattered Starfire would have feats from Starfire and Shatterstar. Sure, you know, again, I haven't really tried analyzing them in that way, but I could understand the reasoning behind that. If Constantine comes to Death Battle, who should he face? Constantine. Well, he's kind of magic, but, like, not, like, in the, well, kind of in the same way Doctor Strange and Doctor Fate, but, like, he doesn't really feel the same, I guess, if that makes any sense. I guess just some other really powerful, magical character. I don't know, I'll have to think about that a little more. Constantine is a character a lot of people talk about in this community that I am not, like, super into, to be honest. He seems pretty cool, but, like, I don't know that much about him. So I haven't thought about him that much. Chucky versus Springtrap. I've heard Five Nights at Freddy's in some ways is really powerful. And I don't know that much about Chucky. If I had to guess right now, I'd say Springtrap, but I could be completely wrong. Hey Raptor, in a fight between your favorite anime character versus your favorite comic book character versus your favorite video game character, who wins? Well, my favorite video game character as of right now is probably Sonic. And my favorite comic book character is Spider-Man, and my favorite anime character is Kakashi, probably. But this stuff changes all the time. Between all of those guys, though, I'm pretty sure Sonic would win if we're incorporating, like, super forms and all that. It's just ridiculously powerful. What about Katara versus Juvia? Sounds like an interesting matchup. Avatar versus Fairy Tail. Okay, Death Battle hasn't done that combination before. Sounds pretty interesting. I'm not sure who would win, although I know Fairy Tail, I think, on average, gets higher than Avatar. Even though I don't really like judging fights just based on the universes that they're from, because I think you can make a lot of mistakes doing that, and it's not really clear-cut in your reasoning. But sometimes I can't say more than that because I don't know much more than that. Madara versus Sephiroth. Again, Sephiroth being a Final Fantasy character, especially if you're incorporating, like, Dissidia scaling and stuff. But even if you're not, I'm pretty sure Sephiroth wins that. At least according to me. Wow, Madara has been taking a lot of L's. But again, I could be wrong. Hello there. Hi. Thank you for joining. So what do you think about Purple Tigress versus Kanzai? Miraculous versus Hunter x Hunter for the Year of the Tiger. Yeah, that actually sounds pretty interesting. Again, like, you know, Death Battle does like to do their commemorations. I'm not sure if they would want to commemorate something like that, but if they would, then yeah, I think that actually works quite well. Hey Raptor, you should do Jotaro and Korra fight, and if so, what do you think of the matchup? I guess I'll consider that one, sure. I think it's okay. I think I understand where you're going for in terms of the connections, or what you're going for in terms of the connections. But yeah, no, I'll definitely think about it. Again, all of these is like, if they're suggestions, they're just going to be, I'll think about it, you know, or I'll consider it. Just because I don't want to confirm anything yet. Would Rudius Grey Rat from Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation be put in Death Battle? Possibly. I don't really know that character, but Death Battle sometimes likes to pull in characters that a lot of people don't know, like Lucy from Elfen Lied. I know there were a lot of people that didn't know her. I don't think they do it that often, but they might do it at some point, sure. What's your favorite animated show version of Spider-Man? Spectacular Spider-Man all the way. The only ones that I actually think do a good job, or at least the ones that I've watched, are Spectacular Spider-Man and the 90s show. I think that Ultimate Spider-Man is really well animated, but I didn't really like the storytelling that they were doing. And I have not watched the new Marvel Spider-Man, but the animation looks awful. So I don't intend on watching that. But my favorite is Spectacular Spider-Man. Green Lantern versus Captain Marvel, a bit random, but I like it. I can understand the reasoning behind that, though. Like, I can understand where you're going for in terms of the matchup. Yeah, personally, I like Green Lantern more against Nova, and Captain Marvel, I think, you know, if we're talking about Death Battle, I think Captain Marvel has had her 2 fights. But yeah, no, that's pretty cool. Can't stay to watch. Just wanted to let you know I love the content. Thanks for the fun. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Even if you can't stay to watch, I still appreciate that so much, man. Thank you so much. Today's the day where I'm going to Seattle for a Beyblade tournament. Wish me the best of luck today. Let it rip. Okay, good luck. I hope it goes well. Are you a Pepsi person or a Coke person? I used to be much more of a Coke person. Now I feel like I like them equally. But I will admit sometimes I feel like I'm distinctly in the mood for a Pepsi. Like, Pepsi is like a little sweeter, right? At least that's kind of how it tastes to me. And sometimes I like Pepsi more. Like sometimes I'm more in the mood for it. And I don't get that as much with Coke. So I might be more of a Pepsi person now. I'm not sure. Here's a match I came with a while ago. Killer Frost versus Ice King. Ice King is from Adventure Time, right? Sounds pretty interesting, yeah. Killer Frost has a lot of matchups if you're just going by the ice thing. You know, that makes sense. Hello, Raptor. I don't have a dream matchup, but I'm going to give you 3 and you choose your favorite. Goku Black versus Black Adam, Blade versus Dante, and Mickey versus Daffy. I think in terms of principle, I like Goku Black versus Black Adam the most. Blade versus Dante, I think that one, though, is really good, too. If we're just looking at, like, thematically, I think that works really well as well. So either one of the first 2, I'd say. If Carnage comes back to Death Battle, who should he fight? I've heard a number of opponents for Carnage, none of which I particularly like. Like, sometimes I think Alex Mercer, but I want Alex Mercer to fight Cole McGrath, you know? So for Carnage specifically, I don't know. I really don't have a good answer to that because I don't really want to see Carnage come back, to be honest. I think he had his good fight. Who wins, Alex Mercer or Medusa from Soul Eater? I feel like this is kind of a biased answer because I know more about Soul Eater and like how it works in terms of scaling, but I want to say Medusa would win, but I could be wrong about that. What kind of interesting match? What is an interesting matchup for an invincible character? Well, I personally like Omni-Man versus Bardock the most, and I feel like there were a lot of matchups for Invincible himself, but not a lot that I'm in love with. Sometimes, you know, I think, you know, the Sam Alexander version of Nova would be well against, or would go well against Invincible. And no spoilers, by the way, for Invincible because I'm almost finished the first season, so please don't do that. What is your preferred matchup for Boba Fett? It would either be Predator or Wolf. And those are the 2 most likely for Boba Fett, probably, which is actually pretty nice. But I have a soft spot for both Boba Fett and Wolf, but I can understand how, like, people want Boba Fett versus Predator as well. In all honesty, I think we're probably going to get Predator, but I could be wrong. But I'd honestly go with either one. Star Butterfly versus Spawn. If we're looking at God Spawn, then definitely Spawn. If we're looking at regular Spawn, does regular Spawn get to Universal? That might be like a really stupid question, but I'm not the most knowledgeable on Spawn. If he does, then I want to say Spawn just has better abilities on top of that, but if not, then maybe Star Butterfly just from power alone. If you buy, Universal Star, of course. Who wins, Jack Frost versus Gingerbread Man? I'm assuming this is Jack Frost from Rise of the Guardians versus Gingerbread Man from Shrek, I think. And if you're doing that, Jack Frost is an immortal, but I don't think that means he can't die because people thought that the Sandman was dead for a while in that movie, even though he's technically the same kind of immortal. But I don't, does the Gingerbread Man actually have like really powerful abilities? If you're talking about maybe like the giant Gingerbread Man from Shrek 2, maybe he would win. But I think Jack Frost just has more going for him, if not. What do you think of a Goku Trunks fusion? That sounds pretty interesting, I guess. Have we actually seen that in the show? If not, sounds pretty interesting. So Spider-Man versus Ladybug is better, like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and Ladybug Cat Noir Awakening movie is coming in 2022. Yes, that's absolutely true. I could definitely think they'd want to do like a double commemoration for that. So I think Spider-Man versus Ladybug is quite likely for season 9 of Death Battle, but we'll see. Sephiroth versus Aizen. This is another one where I think Sephiroth, he's just really powerful. Again, if you buy like the hugely powerful stuff for Aizen, then that's your opinion. But based on what I buy for the characters, I would say Sephiroth. Hey Raptor, what is your opinion on the Stickman Battle Royale? Henry Stickmin versus the Second Coming versus Red versus Mr. Fancy Pants. I think that's pretty cool. I've played I've played Fancy Pants and I've played the Stickman, or one of the Stickman games, so I haven't played all of these, but it sounds like an interesting matchup. What's your favorite villain from Marvel and DC? DC is either Deathstroke or the Joker. I flip-flop between them quite a bit. Marvel, I feel like if we're going like the more personal route, I'd say Green Goblin, but I also really like the characters like Magneto, Doctor Doom, Loki. I think they're all really good villains as well. It's really hard for me to pick just one because I love so many characters. Have you seen Paradise PD on Netflix? I know someone recommended this to me before. It might have been you, actually. I still have not seen it, but it does sound pretty interesting. I know a bit more about it now, so I might check it out. I'm actually watching a lot now. There are a lot of shows that I've picked up, and some of that is because of the Disney Plus stuff, like the Disney Plus Marvel shows, although actually I'm done all of them now. But there's a lot that I'm watching. But yeah, I'll definitely see. If Sasuke comes back to Death Battle, who should he fight? I've heard Sasuke versus Ichigo before, which I'm not in love with. I think that's just because of the DBX, actually. Sasuke versus Hiei was the big one, right? So I can't really think of another obvious one. I wouldn't be against him coming back, especially like if we're incorporating a lot of the new Boruto stuff. But yeah, we'll see. Have you ever seen Aesthetica of a Rogue Hero and Musoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation? I don't think I've seen it, no. But I'll definitely keep that in mind. I think I'm gonna have to lessen the rate of questions. I might have to put it down to like 4 or 5 minutes because I'm starting to fall behind. If there's ever a third Sonic movie, Shadow the Hedgehog should appear and maybe voiced by Dwayne Johnson or some actor with a strong voice. Yeah, definitely an actor with a really like booming, commanding voice. Yeah. I do think number 3, if they want to introduce the cosmic elements or just like the really powerful elements, then yeah, Shadow would be a great addition to that. Bowser versus Eggman. See, this is tough because I'm not sure how powerful all of Eggman's technology is. I want to say Bowser, but I could be completely wrong. Who would win, Dio or Carnage? See, if it wasn't for Carnage's regeneration, I would 100% say Dio. I still kind of want to say Dio, but again, it might just be tough for him to get around the regen. Stupid question, but Shazam versus Spider-Girl. There are no stupid questions. There are only stupid answers. I say Shazam. Jotaro Kujo versus Korra. How powerful is the Avatar state? And if we're looking at like Star Platinum and if we're like buying really far into what Death Battle said for like Dio and the world, then I'd want to say that Star Platinum is more powerful. Although I don't even think it got to the megatons though. And you could probably argue that for Korra, but you might even be able to argue that for Star Platinum. I don't know. I'll say Jotaro for right now, but I could be completely wrong. Hello. Have you watched regular show? Only a bit of it, not a ton. But I understand the appeal. Like from what I have watched, seems pretty cool. Damn, I thought I was late. No, you're right on time, or you're fine on time. It's only 2:22 where I am. And actually, something that I don't even think I said at the beginning, we're gonna be streaming for maximum of 2 hours, like from when we started to what we're doing now, like from when we started to 2 hours after that. You know, I might end it a little earlier if like things are really dying down, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Ryuk versus Lord Death. This is like the infamous matchup. If you're looking for an actual answer, I'm not 100% sure. Because Lord Death is from Soul Eater and Ryuk is from Death Note. They're both like Shinigami, right? So I don't know if there's like a certain kind of middle ground for an implication for how powerful they are. But I'm sure just like with superhumans across different worlds, Shinigami across different worlds are going to be like analyzed differently. If you want an answer right now, I'll say Lord Death, but I could be completely wrong. Tai Lung versus Black Lion Warrior Jared. Kung Fu Panda versus Power Rangers Jungle Fury. I actually know both of these characters. I watched quite a lot of Jungle Fury, but I do not remember how powerful those characters get to. My guess is Jared, but I could be wrong. Because I think like those kinds of characters consistently can reach the levels that like the strongest characters in Kung Fu Panda can get to, whereas Tai Lung, because he's from the first movie, I wouldn't think he's one of the most powerful. Deku versus Kamala Khan. At this point, I'm pretty sure Deku, right? I think he's just risen in power far beyond Kamala Khan, because I've seen arguments that he could also beat Miles Morales now. So I definitely think that could happen. Prefer Umi Xiaolin Showdown versus Katara. Okay, I don't know who the first character is, but if you do prefer that matchup, that's all right. Darkseid versus Doomsday. Well, the Omega effect is like, could that get around like Doomsday's, ridiculous regeneration? Could it just like trap him in the Omega Sanction and that's the end of the battle? Because if so, then I'd say Darkseid. But then again, Doomsday has fought Darkseid, or was it like maybe just like a really weak emanation of Darkseid? I'm not sure. If we're looking at true form Darkseid, of course, though, that's a different story. How has your day been so far? It's been all right. I had a call with some of my friends about a project for school, and I've basically just been setting this up. This stuff actually took a while to set up because it's the first time I've done something like this. There's a lot of like different hardware and software going on at once, and just like a heads up, there's a half decent chance that something could go wrong. So just want to let you guys know. What do you think of the Marquis of Death versus Superboy Prime? I think it's a really cool matchup, to be honest. Do I know who would win? Absolutely not. I think I've heard more Superboy Prime, but again, I really have no idea. I can't say it for myself. I want to see Akatsuki Osawa from Aesthetics of a Rogue Hero versus Issei. I'm gonna pronounce this, like, butcher this pronunciation. Hyundo from High School DxD and Death Battle. Okay, cool. I don't really know that much about the character. Well, I know more about Akatsuki Osawa, but I don't know the most about either of them. High School DxD, I don't really know at all. What do you think of my most wanted matchup? Splinter versus Shifu, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus Kung Fu Panda. I think Splinter versus Shifu is awesome in concept for sure. I definitely like to see that. More animated movie characters, of course, just in general. Applejack, My Little Pony versus Sandy Cheeks, SpongeBob. How powerful do those characters get? Because, like, a lot of people in My Little Pony are really powerful. Like, stupid powerful. I'd probably say Applejack just based on the scaling, because I don't think SpongeBob characters actually get that high, but I could be wrong. Dio versus Reverse Flash. Reverse Flash, definitely. He's just more powerful. Carnage versus Kira. Oh, this was like the new Brandon Yates track, right, that he put out? Carnage versus Kira from JoJo's. Yeah, I don't know if I really like that matchup, but I quite like the track. I thought that was fine. In terms of who would win, I think Kira, maybe. Raptor, will you keep this live stream so everyone can see this video again? Yes, it should be going online, like on YouTube, after the live stream is done, but it will take a while, but it should be up afterwards. Raptor, are you sus? Yes. What power up you want Saitama's work? Oh, what power up do you want? Saitama's workout or Popeye's spinach? I think either way I'd want Popeye's spinach, because at first I was thinking, like, do I get just like the amount of power he got from his workout, or would I have to do the workout myself? Definitely wouldn't want to do the workout myself, but even if I didn't have to do that, I'd probably say I'd want Popeye's spinach, because like that's just ridiculous stuff. If someone ever saw me doing what Popeye was doing, they'd like freak out. What do you think about Jacksepticeye versus Deku as a joke matchup? I've said this a few times before. I don't really care for YouTubers in Death Battle, which I think is actually a bit of an unpopular opinion, because I know some people like putting them in there. But as a joke matchup, I think it's fine. Who do you think would win? Kumagawa, Misogi, or The Mask? My guess is The Mask, but I might be missing something for the other guy. What do you think about FNAF? Are you interested in any possible FNAF matchups the Death Battle can do? I always say that introducing new franchises is good. Like, it allows people to get the most enjoyment, because a lot of people enjoy a lot of different series. So I think it's cool if they want to add FNAF characters. I'm personally not the most interested in FNAF, but I'd be interested in seeing FNAF on Death Battle, if that makes any sense. And I know there are a few out there that I think are pretty cool. Cartoons seem underrepresented in Death Battle. Totally agree. What cartoon matchups do you think Death Battle should do? Well, if we're looking at like just cartoon TV shows, then I definitely want to see Dexter versus Jimmy Neutron. I'd probably also want to see like Mordecai and Rigby versus Finn and Jake. Bill versus Discord I'd like to see as well, even though I'm not sure how likely that is at this point. If we're looking at like animated movies though, then definitely stuff like Gru versus Megamind, Hiccup and Toothless versus Hero and Baymax, definitely stuff like that as well. So what do you think Hayakimaru versus Tanjiro, like Dororo anime, was anime that need to be Death Battle in season 9? Okay, I think I understand what you're saying. I do think that Tanjiro is going to fight Jonathan Joestar, but I wouldn't be upset if he fought somebody else, because his other matchups mostly come from other like franchises that haven't been used on Death Battle before. But I just think that Jonathan Joestar is the most likely for him. Thoughts on Light Yagami in Death Battle? If it can, work, then I'd say fine, but I'm not sure if he actually has like an opponent that really works well for him. I've heard Light versus Riddler, but I'm not sure if I really like that. Have you ever looked into the Yakuza series? And if you do, what characters do you think would work in Death Battle? Keep up the good content. Thank you so much. I have not looked into that series, but I know what it is. But I don't know any characters' names, and I don't know like what kind of matchups they would have. But it sounds interesting. I might look into it later. Plastic Man versus Mr. Fantastic. I'm pretty sure that Plastic Man would win. Mr. Fantastic can do some really crazy things, but Plastic Man is like, he's just written to have better elasticity abilities. That's just my opinion, though. You mentioned in your Dream season the matchup Ori versus the Knight. That's right. If Ori doesn't fight him, I have another matchup for Ori, which is Maypole from Rivals of Ether. Okay, I think I've heard of that. I think Ori wins even though Maypole is more powerful. Okay, that's definitely like something that can happen, powers and everything. But cool. Yeah, no, I think I'd want to see Ori versus the Knight just because I think it's like, I just heard more about it. And again, the reason why that was in the Dream season was because that was the specific matchup that was suggested in the Discord. So, again, that's kind of where a lot of it came from. Some of them were made up by me, but some of them were also made up by my Discord, and I didn't really feel like I could change the Discord answers. Spawn versus Demi-Fiend, I think works better than Spawn versus Ghost Rider. Okay, I don't know who Demi-Fiend is that well, but if you feel that way, that's great. We all have our own opinions. I think Spawn versus Ghost Rider works perfectly fine, but that's just me. What was the worst acting you've ever seen? Mine is any movie directed by the Asylum, same people who created Sharknado. Literally, I was thinking that my answer was gonna be Sharknado, and then I see you say Asylum, Sharknado. Yeah, I'd probably say that. The acting in Sharknado is terrible, but the movies are just friggin' hilarious. Favorite Yates commission. I really like Amazingly Miraculous. I find myself listening to that quite a bit. That's probably my favorite right now, but I know there are a lot of other good ones. Ones I probably just can't think of right now. Something not Death Battle related. Are you hyped for the final playoff games for football tomorrow? I'm going to offend so many people by saying this, but I am not interested in football at all. It is like the one sport I have never gotten behind. And I know that's kind of weird, but like, it's the one sport I really don't understand. I've never really cared to understand it. That's just me. So, I hope you're excited for it. I know, football is fun, but I'm just not that interested in it, nor do I know that much about it. I do know some other sports, though, like basketball, baseball, even soccer to a degree, but not that much of football. Sorry if that offends anyone. What do you think of Penance versus Pain? That's a fight I haven't heard in a long time. I think it's pretty cool. Don't know if Death Battle would ever do it, though, because, Penance is a pretty minor Marvel character, but, I still think it's cool. What do you think of this matchup? Fireside Girls from Phineas and Ferb versus Team Sonic from Sonic Boom. Who wins? I don't know what the two, I watched a lot of Phineas and Ferb, but I don't remember, what the Toon Force is like in regards to how powerful a character is. My gut is saying Sonic Boom characters, but I could be wrong. Drax the Destroyer versus Kratos the God of War. Kratos got a lot more powerful semi-recently, right? But I don't know if it'd be past the point of Drax. I could see it going either way, to be honest. Maybe not my favorite matchup for Kratos, but I think it's fine. What if Michael Myers had the Carnage symbiote? Well, then it would basically just be a slasher movie, but it with superpowers, like more literal superpowers. You could make the argument that characters like Michael Myers and Jason have superpowers, but it basically have a lot more action in it. I'm off for the tournament. See you next stream. Okay, actually, that's something I did want to say. I don't necessarily want to stop live streaming, but I am stopping the Q&As. But if I can find some other way to incorporate streaming, if I want to do more with the green screen or something, don't know how I would, but that's something I would be open to. So that's actually a good thing that came up. But in terms of Q&As, again, at least for now, I think I'm going to stop. I think I have to maybe like put slow mode a little higher. I'm just gonna do that for a second, just because I want to catch up. And then I might put it down a little lower after that. So yeah, sorry if I'm a little behind. I know that I am. And then what do we got now? What do you think of Itadori JJK versus Denji Chainsaw Man? Seems alright. Have I heard that one a lot before? Maybe I have, but it seems alright at face value. I hope you will check out that series that I keep, or the series that I keep mispronouncing. They're totally badass. Okay, thank you for the recommendation. I appreciate it. Do you watch Invincible? If so, who's your favorite character? I do watch Invincible, but I'm not finished it yet. In terms of who my favorite character is, I do like Mark. I think he's like a really relatable guy. Rexplode is like, he's so annoying, but I know that's the point. One of my favorite characters actually might be Robot. I think Zachary Quinto does a really good job as him. There are a lot of awesome voices in that show. What do you think of Azrael Dreamer from Black Lady versus Black Lady from Sailor Moon? And who do you think wins? I do not know those characters very well. Black Lady, I actually really don't know. I'm surprised I haven't heard that name before. Sorry, I just don't really know those characters. Seems like a cool fight, though. Carnage versus the Batman Who Laughs. If we're looking at normal Carnage versus the Batman Who Laughs, then the Batman Who Laughs, because he's gotten so powerful as of now. But if we're looking at like Dark Carnage, like the buffed Carnage versus the Batman Who Laughs, then I'm not sure. Have you watched Cartoon? Is that like a thing on its own, or are you saying have I watched cartoons? If you're asking if I've watched cartoons, then yes, I have. But if you're asking like if there's like a specific thing called Cartoon, then I don't think I've watched that. Spider-Man from Spectacular Spider-Man versus Batman from the Batman Show 2004. Two of my favorite cartoons. The Batman Show from 2004 is underrated. And I'm mainly saying that because it was like the first Batman show I ever watched. But I'm pretty sure Spider-Man wins. But it's a fine fight, yeah, if we're looking at those specific characters. What are your thoughts on a three-way matchup for Samus Aran versus Doomslayer versus Master Chief? I think that's okay. Maybe not like the most close in terms of power levels, but I think that's fine as an idea. If Green Goblin came to Death Battle, who could he fight? If Green Goblin comes to Death Battle, he's gonna fight Joker, because that's like the most popular one for him. I can't see them putting him up against anyone else. Like, he does have other matchup ideas. I just don't see Death Battle doing them, you know? Will you keep the live stream so people can see this video again? Yes, like I said before, I will be uploading this video afterwards. Like, when we get to 4 o'clock EST, I'm going to be shutting it off. But after a while, it will be back up. It will be back up on YouTube, like as a video. Which is the best Spider-Man outfit in comics or movies? Well, the general comic one, for me, is like my favorite matchup. Nope. Is my favorite suit. I know he has a lot of cool suits from the comics, but I just like the classic one. But in terms of my favorite one from the movies, for a while it was Andrew Garfield's suit from The Amazing Spider-Man 2. But even though it's only had like 30 seconds of screen time, now I would say the one that was shown... Oh, this is spoilers, by the way. Slight spoilers for No Way Home. Tom Holland's new suit at the end is really cool. Like, it looks so good, and it actually makes me angry because we haven't gotten a suit like that yet, and it seems like they could have just done it all this time. It just looks so good. What do you think about FNAF? Are you interested? Oh, I'm getting some repeat questions. I didn't skip any, did I? If I did, I apologize. I think I answered this before, though. Like, again, I'm fine with FNAF. I think it'd be cool to have them in Death Battle. Who do you think wins personally, Eren Yeager versus Ken Kaneki? Who do I think wins? My gut is telling me Ken, but maybe Eren got more powerful? I don't know. I know, like, Attack on Titan Season 4 is, like, it's going on now, right? Or something, or it's new. So maybe Eren, but I'm not sure. Freddy. He said Ginger Dead Man, not Gingerbread Man. Oh, okay. I'm not sure who Ginger Dead Man is then. Apologies. What do you think of Invincible versus Steven Universe? I think it's okay. I've heard that matchup thrown around before. It's not my favorite, but I can understand if you like it. All of Marvel versus all of DC opinions. Well, at that point, it really just comes down to, like, if we're looking at all the characters on one side versus all the characters on the other side, then the only characters that matter are the ones that are quote unquote omnipotent in their worlds. So, like, you know, the presence in DC versus the one above all from Marvel. And I'm pretty sure there's more arguments to be made for the one above all being technically more powerful, if you could even make that judgment. If you're asking, though, more so which ones do I like, then like between Marvel and DC, I do like Marvel a little more, even if we're just looking at comics and not movies. But that's just my opinion. I like, they're basically tied for me. I just say Marvel because I know some people want me to give a concrete answer. Naruto versus Luffy. I think Naruto wins just based on all the power-ups, but I could be wrong. And I still think that matchup is perfectly fine, but that's just me. If you were to choose any character to return to Death Battle, who would it be and who would they fight? What are my most wanted matchups again? Because a lot of my most wanted ones have completely new characters, like Galactus versus Unicron, Stitch versus Rocket Raccoon. I'm trying to think who would I want to see come back to Death Battle most. I do think Darth Vader versus Obito is cool. I'm just trying to think, like, from my most recent video, like the Dream season that I had. Ghost Rider versus Spawn I would also really like to see. Joker versus Green Goblin. Yeah, like I said, I think Joker would probably win. Not the Joker would probably win. Joker would probably fight Green Goblin. I think Green Goblin would probably win. Hello, nice wall. Thank you. I appreciate that. Who wins? Glaciator from Miraculous versus Stay Puft the Marshmallow from Ghostbusters. Connections to kaiju made out of sweet ice cream marshmallows that destroy New York and Paris. Okay, that sounds pretty cool. I do not know that much about Glaciator, but I do remember the Marshmallow Man being very slow. But it would still be powerful, so I can't really say for sure. Any opinions of Doomslayer versus Samus Aran? I think it's okay. It's not like my favorite matchup in the world or anything, but I think it's perfectly fine. In terms of who I think would win, probably Doomslayer, but I could be wrong. What is your favorite TV show? If we're talking about, like, current TV shows, probably Cobra Kai. If we're talking about, like, of all time, then maybe the original Teen Titans show. All Might, Prime All Might if you want, versus Sephiroth. I'm pretty sure not even Prime All Might would be able to beat Sephiroth. Is that what you're saying, actually? It's spelled a little differently, but I think you're trying to say Sephiroth. But yeah, I would say Sephiroth if that's what you're going for. Sasuke versus Riku, probably Riku again, just because of the Kingdom Hearts scaling. No, I mean, okay, there we go. No, I mean Jack from the horror movie, and Ginger Dead Man also from the horror movie. Okay, so we're looking. So I was answering a completely different question. Sorry about that. In that case, I don't really know who those characters are. I don't. Well, that's probably to be expected if my mind didn't even go to them. But yeah, Jack Frost from a horror movie versus Gingerbread Man from a horror movie. I don't really know those characters. Sorry about that. You have to get some more ideas from In Death Battle future episodes. I think I know what you're trying to say. I have a lot of ideas for Death Battle episodes. Some of them I do put in the official like suggestion box, but a lot of them I just keep to myself or I put in videos. Hi Raptor, what do you think of a death battle between T-1000 from Terminator 2 versus John Carpenter's The Thing? A fight between shape-shifting monstrosities from sci-fi, and who would win in your opinion? I only really know the T-1000. T2 is a really good movie. John Carpenter's The Thing I have heard of before. I don't know how unkillable The Thing is, because T-1000 is pretty damn unkillable. But I could be completely wrong. I might want to say T-1000, but that's only because I don't have the right information on anyone else. Or on The Thing, I mean. Imagine Willem Dafoe voicing the Joker. That'd be pretty cool. I think Willem Dafoe would be good, like, even as a live-action Joker. I don't know if he would ever do it, though. Have you played NMH yet? If so, what is your favorite boss? Mine is Destroy Man. I have not, but I'm happy that, you enjoy it and that you have a favorite boss. That's awesome. If Shadow were introduced in the Sonic movies, I think Keanu Reeves should voice him. Okay, that's a pretty interesting choice, actually. To be fair, I was not expecting Idris Elba to be voicing Knuckles, but I think it's fine. Is there a matchup that isn't good, but you just like it for some reason? Well, a lot of people give a lot of hate to Naruto versus Luffy, which I can understand why, but I think it's fine. I don't really mind it. I just think it has cool characters that I'd want to see. I know some people don't really like Stitch versus Rocket Raccoon either. I will still say though, it's a good fight. But even if you don't think it's a good fight, I still like it just because I really like the characters. But is there like any other one that I think is, I don't know, Master Chief versus Doomslayer Part 2 I think is fine. Even though probably if the first one didn't come out, people would probably say it's bad, which I can understand. Hi, Rappter. I'm going to try to answer as much as I can, but since work is getting in the way, I'll try to send in questions. Okay, perfectly fine. Shredder versus Ra's al Ghul. Probably Shredder, especially if we're looking at like the higher end stuff and like Super Shredder. I wish they do Mario Movie 2022 versus Sonic Movie 2020 in Death Battle. Maybe they'll do it. You know, Death Battle is sometimes weird like that. Like they did Archie Sonic, which I was actually really surprised they did. But yeah, we'll see. Which highly requested DC versus non-Marvel fight will break DC's win streak? Well, I've heard a lot of arguments for SCP-682 beating Doomsday, which I can understand. And there's like some other ones I've heard, like other DC versus non-Marvel matchups. But there are some people who are saying that it's more in DC's favor now, actually, even though before they were saying that the DC character loses. There's also Simone the Digger versus Kyle Rayner, which some people say that Simone wins, so that might happen. Shadow versus Tetsuo. I don't know how powerful Tetsuo is, but I'm pretty sure Shadow wins that. That'd be my guess. Are you hyped for Sonic Movie 2? Yes, I absolutely am. It'll be out, soon-ish, not too soon, but I'm excited for it. Dio versus Reverse Flash sounds more DBX material, same for Dio versus Springtrap. All right, fair enough. Do you think we will get a season of Death Battle that does not have any returning characters? No, I do not. I do not think that will ever happen. Partially because there are a lot of highly requested matchups that do involve returning characters, but it's also just, I think Death Battle kind of now tries to put some returning characters in there, even when they really don't need to. And I kind of wish they didn't do that. But, whatever. Steve versus Terraria and Minecraft versus Terraria. I have heard that fight before. I might want to say Steve wins, but I think it's a cool fight either way. Who's your favorite WOF Ranger RJ matchup? What's WOF? Is that like a type of Power Ranger show? If so, I haven't heard of it. But there are like a lot of general Ranger matchups that I think are fine. None really come to mind right now. Who wins between Shang Tsung and M. Bison? It depends on how far you want to go up into the Mortal Kombat scaling. I don't think Shang Tsung is like the most powerful out there, and M. Bison's really powerful. Maybe Shang Tsung, but I could definitely see the argument for M. Bison. Again, it's just the fact that I don't have a ton of information on characters readily available, so that is kind of my fault, but again, that's not really like what I like to do in my spare time. Just research characters in case I get asked a question, Will they ever do DC versus Marvel fighting game like Injustice? I would love for them to do it. I can't say whether or not they would, but I would love it if they did. Plasma P from Plants vs. Zombies versus White Lantern Batman. Am I missing something big for the Plasma P? Because I want to say White Lantern Batman. White Lanterns are stupid strong, man. But who knows, maybe Plasma P actually wins. What do you think about my dream matchup, All Might versus Leon, My Hero Academia versus Pokemon? I don't know that much about Leon, but it sounds interesting at face value. I could definitely see that. What do you think about... Oh, same question before. What's your opinion about Gon versus Izuku Midoriya? I think it's probably... Deku, like Gon is probably Deku's most popular matchup now. It's probably what's going to end up happening. And I think it's perfectly fine as a matchup. I know some people don't like it. I think it's perfectly fine. I definitely like to see it. What is your favorite Death Battle episode ever? It might... I don't think it'd be Goku Black versus Reverse Flash. That's definitely my most favorite Season 8 episode, but I don't know if it'd be my favorite ever. My favorite ever, sometimes it's Wolverine versus Raiden, surprisingly enough. Sometimes it's Naruto versus Ichigo. Sometimes it's like, I don't know, Balrog versus TJ Combo. That's another good one. I have a lot of favorites. Tai Lung versus the Shredder. That kind of depends on how far you want to go in the Kung Fu Panda scaling. But I could definitely see the argument being made for Shredder. Maybe Shredder, but again, maybe you want to put Tai Lung at a much higher level. I'm going to get some water. Oh, wow. It's already been like 50 minutes. I haven't even had any water. What do we got next? Thanos versus Darkseid twist. Apocalypse versus Doomsday. So like the fight Apocalypse versus Doomsday? I think Doomsday would probably win that, but that's just me. Hello, thank you for joining. Electro versus Bakugo for My Hero Academia. See, Electro doesn't actually have like a ton of amazing feats of his own. Like his best feats actually come from him being able to hurt Spider-Man. But I don't know. But Bakugo, I think there's like a bigger pool of scaling you could do with that. But Electro has still harmed characters, I would say, that are more powerful than Bakugo. And Electro might be faster too. Maybe Electro, actually, but it's hard to say. Tai Lung versus Tai Lung. Tai Lung. Doctor Doom versus Dr. Fate. Yeah, I don't know exactly how powerful Doctor Doom is in terms of magic compared to Dr. Fate. My gut is telling me Dr. Fate, but my gut could be wrong. Who would win in a fight? Lynxie versus Poe. The Lynxie series versus Kung Fu Panda. I don't know how powerful Lynxie would actually get. If you're saying, like, because Poe would be at least, you know, the country level or however, like, the level that he was able to do to scaling to stopping the meteor, which, you know, Death Battle calculated that as like 100 teratons. I personally feel it should be more in like the petaton range because of like, you know, just the extinction calculations for today's society that I've looked up. But if Lynxie can get up to that high, then maybe Lynxie would win. But Poe also can just use the whooshy finger hold. And there's also, you know, people have made arguments for Poe being even more powerful than that. Again, I just don't know enough about Lynxie to make a great argument either way. Applejack versus Paladin dance from Fallout 4 is interesting. Her dance versus Buzz Lightyear, but stomp. Okay, fair enough. I can understand that. Sorry for shaking the laptop, by the way. You probably noticed that a little bit. And what else we got? Who wins between Ken Masters and Sub-Zero? I think I'd... Because do we want to put Ken on the same level as Ryu? Because I could see the argument for not doing that, but I could also see the argument for doing that. But like Mortal Kombat characters can do well, but Sub-Zero isn't like the greatest. I might want to say Sub-Zero, but I could be wrong. Enderman versus Slenderman. I've actually heard Enderman wins that, but I don't know that much about Enderman. Sorry, misspelled. Best hand-drawn animation in Death Battle. My favorite episode that has hand-drawn animation would probably be Saitama versus Popeye. But I also really like a lot of others, like Samurai Jack versus Afro Samurai. That one was really good too. But if we're talking about like the quality of the animation itself, like from start to finish, I might still say Saitama versus Popeye, even though it's not just hand-drawn. Trent Mercer versus Alice. Ugh, Gayabitch. Power Rangers versus Bakugan. Oh, it's Alice from Bakugan. Okay, I know who that is. I didn't know her last name. I don't know how Bakugan can get really powerful, but so can Power Rangers. I don't know. I'd want to research both of those franchises individually to make a judgment. I guess I'd be rooting for Alice though, because I like Bakugan more. King Cash versus Doma Miraculous versus Demon Slayer. All right, and then there's the connections. I don't know who would win between that, but sounds interesting enough, just reading the connections there. Angry Video Game Nerd versus Nostalgia Critic. I think, who have I heard wins that? Maybe Angry Video Game Nerd. Again, though, I'm just not super interested in YouTubers in Death Battle. Why do you dislike YouTubers on Death Battle? I honestly think characters like SMG4 would work, to be honest. I'm not saying they wouldn't work. They just don't, like, appeal to me. Like, they're not really, like, up my alley, you know? I'm more so like, you know, when Death Battle takes itself a little more seriously. But that's just me. Like, if you like YouTubers, I'm not saying you're wrong for liking YouTubers in Death Battle. They're just not up my alley. It's like if somebody didn't like, you know, a certain anime being used in Death Battle just because it's not up their alley. It's just like that, you know? Venom versus Darkseid. Well, if we're looking at current Venom, I don't know. If we're looking at, like regular Venom, then definitely Darkseid, but I'm pretty sure that's not what you're asking. Yeah, I'm not sure who would win between, like, current Venom and Darkseid. Maybe Venom, actually, but it depends how high you interpret Darkseid's true form, maybe. Kraven the Hunter versus All for One. Maybe All for One, but Kraven, again, like, scaling to Spidey, like, that would be impressive. But maybe still All for One. I would love to see Akatsuki Osawa and Ridus Gray Rat in Death Battle, period. I hope you will look at these characters, learn more about them, make a video about them too. Well, I don't know about making a video, but again, we'll see what happens. How do you feel about Waluigi versus Rotten Robbie in Death Battle? You know what? I'll take it. Why not? It's been talked about so much. Perfectly fine with me. Frieza versus Gilgamesh. I'm assuming this is Gilgamesh from Fate, and I want to say that Gilgamesh probably wins, but that's just me. What's a matchup you don't like, but you can see happening? What's a matchup I don't like, but I can see happening? I don't want to say I don't like this matchup, because I think it's fine. It's like Harley Quinn versus Jinx. I think I'd like to see Jinx fight somebody else, to be honest. Like maybe Trigger Happy from Skylanders. But I don't dislike Harley Quinn versus Jinx. It's just I think I might want something different. But if we're looking at something a little more disconnected from Season 9, then probably Goku versus Superman 3. I could definitely see that happening, and I do not want to see it. You think this will get here to track Bill Cipher versus Discord from Brandon Yates? Well, I think that maybe it has a chance of being a real fight, but I'm not sure. I have heard the track, though. It sounds pretty cool. Maybe not my favorite, but I think it's all right. What do you think of Danganronpa, and what's your favorite matchup that it has? Who is it? Is Uzuru is from that series, right? I've heard her, or is that a guy? I don't know. I've heard Uzuru versus Izuku Midoriya, actually, which I think is a fine fight for Deku, but I don't know that much about that series in the first place, so I can't really answer the first part of the question. What do you think about Waluigi versus Ginyu? Still my favorite matchup. I'm not sure if I've heard that before, but I guess it sounds interesting. Betelgeuse, I'm pretty sure that's Beetlejuice versus The Mask, and Light Yagami as Herbert West. Okay, sure. I don't know that much about Herbert West, but again, sometimes this is all just from my own head, right? Like if I don't have certain information, then I just don't have certain information. And Beetlejuice versus The Mask, I'd probably say The Mask, but I'm not sure. Who wins Sailor Pluto versus Bunnix? Sailor Moon versus Miraculous. Sailor Moon characters are really strong, but maybe Bunnix gets up to that kind of high level. I'd probably say Sailor Pluto for now, though. Spider-Man versus Sideways. I'd say Spider-Man probably has the experience, but I think Sideways is probably stronger. I think I've seen like how strong they've made Sideways, and Sideways might actually be physically stronger. I'm not sure. Excited for Multiverses. I'm not sure if I'm going to play that because I don't think I have the right like console or technology to play it. Plus, I just got Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, and I think I want to spend some more time with that. But as a concept, Multiverses sounds really cool. I know people want Nero versus Hellboy, but I want Nero versus Yang Jiaolong. I love the matchup, even though it's a stomp. Okay, that's fair. You know, we all have our own opinions, and if you like the matchup for literally whatever reason you like it for, then then that's great. For me, though, I still personally really want Nero versus Hellboy. Demi-Fiend is from Shin Megami Tensei. I really think Spawn versus Demi-Fiend should happen, though, plus Ghost Rider already got in Death Battle, and I find Demi-Fiend should at least get in. It's a really good matchup. All right, fair enough. There are kind of like multiple ways to interpret, like, what you think should happen in Death Battle based on how good the matchup is versus what is actually most likely. And there's no denying that Ghost Rider versus Spawn is just a big matchup in the community. So sometimes I just try to think about it more realistically, Do you believe that even when a Death Battle doesn't get picked, it just makes it more likely to get picked one day because people request it more? I think it's a case-by-case basis. I think like if there was like a really high demand for it before, then there would be an even higher demand for it later because people would get upset. But if there wasn't like that much of a high demand for it, then I think people might just kind of give up on it, or they might wait a while before suggesting it again. That's just my 2 cents. Favorite Nova character from Marvel? I think I like the Richard Rider Nova. I really like him. If there was another Death Battle featuring 2 Smash Ultimate characters, what would you want it to be? So 2 characters specifically from Smash Ultimate. That's kind of interesting because like I sometimes think like, oh yeah, it's a Death Battle, Link versus Cloud, they're both here, or Bowser versus Ganon, they're both here. But I'm trying to think like who are 2 characters that are actually from Smash Ultimate that could work well together. I'm just trying to think of like of the whole roster. It's a little tough. I don't know. I'll have to think about that a little more. Maybe I'll get back to that. But I do think that some matchups could work. It's hard for me to think on the fly. Which is the most G-rated death battle ending? I'd say Deadpool versus Pinkie Pie. If they have to die, probably Yoda versus Mickey. I'd probably agree with you on that, to be honest. That's just like the ones that are like the most tame from what I can remember. Who wins? Rick versus Bender. Maybe Rick, but I could be getting that wrong. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. Mac Power Rangers versus Penny Ruby. Would you mind if it was real? Mac from Power Rangers. I think I know which Mac. I think I know who you're talking about versus Penny from Ruby. I guess it'd be fine to do as a fight. I don't really know that much about the characters, but I think it's all right. I respect with your view. I agree. American football is not for everyone. I am hype. Okay, I'm really happy that you are hype. I'm just not the most into it, but I'm happy you understand. What are your opinions on Frieza versus Megatron? I don't think it's a bad matchup per se. I can understand though why people don't like it. I have also heard Megatron versus Vilgax, which I might actually think works better, but like I would not like be upset if Death Battle did Frieza versus Megatron. I think it's fine. What do you think about more realistic people, like say Left 4 Dead or movie characters, ones that aren't Galaxy Busters, more down to earth? Again, variety is good, and Death Battle hasn't done a lot of those characters, so I'd say go for it. Even in the Dream Season video that I put out last week, one person suggested Clementine versus Ellie, Clementine from The Walking Dead and Ellie from The Last of Us, and I think that's cool. I'd like to see how creative Death Battle can get with those kinds of characters, or just matchups in general. Yeah. I highly recommend reading or watching Medaka Box. I'm sure you'll love it. Okay. Any new Marvel versus DC matchups you've been thinking about? Any new ones I've been thinking about? Black Adam versus Apocalypse and Mysterio versus Scarecrow, I'd say, are the ones I've been thinking about more. Like, I always knew about those matchups, but I'm getting more excited for the thought of those kinds. That's just... Those are really the only ones I can think of right now. The brothers Yin Yang versus the Presence and the One Above All. I don't know who Yin Yang are, or I don't really know about that. But again, like Marvel and DC is already broken enough as it is. So those omnipotent characters, my gut instinct is to say they, like the One Above All and Presence, would win, but I could be wrong. Who do you think would win? Frisk versus Batter, Undertale versus OFF. Sorry, Undertale versus OFF. Maybe Frisk, but I could be wrong. I don't know that much about OFF or Batter. That's just my opinion, or that's just what I know. So I'm just spewing out random words now. Who is your favorite opponent for Asura? I've heard Kratos versus Asura. I've even heard like Broly versus Asura before. I think there are a lot that could work. Maybe Kratos versus Asura, but I kind of want to see Kratos versus Dante, so I don't know. You should maybe make your predictions live stream and maybe involve members of the other community, kind of like what Nem does. I guess I could if I wanted to do more live stream kind of stuff. That is an idea. I do like to spend like time on my predictions, like editing them and stuff. So it would be like a different kind of process, but it's definitely like an interesting idea. Anyone thinks Boba Fett versus Predator, but what do you think about the idea of Boba Fett versus Riddick? I know who Riddick is. I don't know. That's not one that I gravitate to as much, but if it's one that you gravitate more towards, then that's great. Who wins, Leonardo or Maka? I'm not the most up to date on Ninja Turtles scaling, but Maka has like the madness. I think Maka has better abilities, but Leo might technically be more powerful. Right now I'll say Maka, but I could be getting that wrong. Spider-Man versus Invincible. To my knowledge, Invincible probably wins. Like, Spider-Man has a lot more experience, but Invincible is just really, really strong. Like, stronger and faster than I think Spider-Man could keep up with. Any characters come back to Death Battle? Who do you want to see come back? Again, I think Darth Vader could come back to fight Obito. I think Captain America could come back to fight, like, Kamen Rider Ichigo. I think that could be cool. But yeah, like, other kinds of characters that I really like Naruto maybe even to fight somebody else. I think that could be cool. If Krillin from Dragon Ball Z was added on Death Battle, who would he be fighting? If Krillin from Dragon Ball Z was added onto Death Battle, who would he be fighting? I haven't heard like a really good Krillin match in a long time. If anybody has any ideas, put them down in the chat, but I'm not really sure. Who would Krillin fight? I've heard Krillin versus Saitama, but I don't want to see that one. That one's just kind of stupid in my opinion. What's an episode you think is going to happen but don't like? Again, Goku versus Superman 3, I think could very well happen, and I don't want to see it. I can understand the hype for it, but I don't really want to see it. Donatello versus Tim Drake. I think Donatello wins that. I just don't think Tim Drake is physically powerful enough to keep up. Tim Drake, though, would have a better arsenal, but I might want to say Donatello for right now. Thoughts on Luz no... I am so sorry. I'm going to butcher this name. Luz Nocida, is that right? Versus Anne Bunshui. Why do people come up with such crazy names nowadays? Owl House versus Amphibia. I have not seen either Owl House or Amphibia. I think I have heard the matchup, though, before. It sounds all right, but I have no idea who would win. But as a fight idea on its own, I think it's fine. Football in America that you can use the hands and the feet, but international football soccer, you use only your feet. So yes, I know that soccer is known as football in like every other place of the world. And honestly, that's the way it should be, in my opinion, but whatever. What if Kratos versus Doomslayer happened? Personally, I don't think it will, but if it does, I guess I could roll with it. Again, I have opponents I might want to see more for Kratos, but I think it'd be okay. Deadpool versus Link. Well, Link would be a lot more powerful and have a much bigger arsenal. I'd want to say he probably also has ways to kill Deadpool, but it might just be tough for him to do that. Who do you think would win in a battle royale between Robin, Starfire, Cyborg, Raven, and Beast Boy? Specifically the Teen Titans versions of the characters. Well, if we're looking at the Teen Titans show, Robin was actually able to fight all of them off at once. But Robin is still not as strong as any of them individually, so like I don't really know how that works. I think if we're looking at that show specifically and trying to judge it the most fair as possible, probably Raven. If not her, then Starfire. Sorry, if not her, then Starfire. Dragonborn versus Doom Guy. The Elder Scrolls versus Doom. I want to say Doom Guy or Doomslayer, but I know the Elder Scrolls can get really powerful as well. I'm not up to date with them. What do you think, or who do you think Yusuke Yu Yu Hakusho should or would fight? This is another one that I've heard, like, you could have him fight Ichigo, which I wouldn't mind, but I think you might be able to come up with something better. I have heard other Yusuke matchups, but none are really coming to mind right now. I think there's a good chance, though, he could fight Ichigo. Like, Death Battle would do that. What do we got now? Okay, it kind of refreshed. I got to go back up. Okay, I thought of Apocalypse versus Doomsday. I think is cooler than Black Adam versus Apocalypse. Personally, I disagree, but if you like it more, then that's perfectly fine. I still really want to see Black Adam versus Apocalypse on Death Battle. Don't worry, I'm not into football either. Okay, good to see I'm not alone. Zoro versus Kenpachi, because they are both OP swordsmen. They want to fight the strongest, and they always get lost. It's a fun matchup, but Kenpachi claps Zoro. Based on Bleach, yeah, I could definitely see that. But yeah, no, that's actually kind of funny. The funny connections. Well, one thing actually that I think might be a little controversial opinion is that I don't think there needs to be a ton of connections for a fight to work. I can understand more connections might be like a better incentive to do one fight than another fight, but I don't think you need pages and pages of connections. As long as there's just some connective tissue, I think there's reason to do it, which I think is going to be an unpopular opinion. What do you think of the Battle of Firestorm versus Endeavor? Well, I think Firestorm is a lot more powerful than Endeavor, and I don't think they have the greatest of connections, but if you like it, then that's good. Alt Doofenshmirtz versus Emperor Nefarious. Maybe Nefarious. Oh, well, then again, it depends on what technology you give Doof. I don't know. If you give them everything they've ever had, then maybe Doof. I don't know. Travis Touchdown versus Ryuko Matoi. What's your opinion? Seems like an interesting fight. I don't know how powerful Travis is, though. I know Ryuko is really strong, but I don't know how powerful Travis is. But seems like a fine fight. Alucard versus Hellboy. I'm pretty sure Hellboy wins. And again, I really want to see Hellboy fight Nero, but that sounds all right. I think Alucard's a fine alternative. Thoughts on Wolverine versus Bigby Wolf? I've heard that one a bit before. I don't know that much about Bigby Wolf, but it seems okay. Hello there. Hi. Who do you think make the worst score art? Because I choose it me. I don't really pay attention to who makes the worst score art or anything like that. I think making that to any degree is really admirable, especially since I'm not the best when it comes to graphic design, so I really admire when people can do stuff like that, even to any degree. Spawn versus Doomslayer. Who wins between Spawn and Doomslayer? I think God Spawn beats Doomslayer, or maybe, I don't even know. Doomslayer, I think, probably wins against normal Spawn, but I could be wrong. Ares versus Hela. Well, it depends which Ares, because there's an Ares in both Marvel and DC. But because Hela is from Marvel, I'm assuming you mean the Ares from DC. I think maybe Hela, but I could see the argument being made for Ares. Kratos versus Doomslayer, who would win? Oh my god, Kratos versus Doomslayer. That one, no idea. Maybe... Oh, geez. I just flip-flopped like 10 times in my head. I really have no idea. I can say, though, I'd be rooting for Kratos because I know him more, but I don't want to, like, have bias get in the way or anything. Sephiroth versus Virgil rematch. I personally don't think it's necessary, but if you want it, that's cool. What is your most favorite Death Battle season? It's Season 8. Season 8 for me had the most, like, consistent, really cool moments. Really, like, amazing highs. Ink Demon versus Huggy Wuggy. No idea. Seems interesting, though. I'm going to take a drink of water. I really should be drinking more because my throat's getting a little dry. What do you think about Medic versus Richtofen? I'm probably pronouncing that right. I'm wrong. Jesus Christ. I need some time to relax. Team Fortress 2 versus Call of Duty Zombie. Sounds like a cool fight. No idea who would win, but sounds like a cool fight. I know people want Nero versus Hellboy, but my most want... Okay, so we got that one before. Red Hood versus Snake Eye. Red Hood versus Snake Eye. So is this Snake Eyes, like from G.I. Joe? G.I. Joe is kind of like varied in terms of power to my knowledge. Red Hood, though, has a lot going for him. I could see the argument being made for Snake Eyes, but I might want to say Red Hood, but I could be wrong. When are you going to do a re-uploaded Spider-Man vs. Ladybug Who Would Win video? I never said I was going to do that. Sorry if you got that impression, but I never said I was going to do that. I'm probably not going to do that. Even if my opinions change in certain aspects of fights, I don't think that's enough for me to want to redo an episode because it just takes up a slot of another new episode, you know? So I don't think I'm going to do that. Sorry to disappoint you. Thor versus Wonder Woman, all forms, all abilities, all weapons, who wins? Probably Thor at this point, but Wonder Woman is still stupid strong. John from Cobra Kai. So I think, do you mean John Kreese? Because there's like John Kreese and Johnny Lawrence. But John from Cobra Kai versus Howard the Duck. Either way, I'd say Howard the Duck. Who would win, Groot or Neji? Maybe Groot, but I could be wrong. I actually made a Death Battle trailer for Stitch versus Rocket. Okay, that's awesome. I know some people have, so maybe I've come across it. I think Harley versus Jinx could beat the win streak. I think that's definitely possible, but I want to do more research on that because right now I really have no idea who would win. Orochimaru versus Captain Mayuri. Not even going to try to pronounce that. I would be rooting for Orochimaru because Naruto, but I really don't know who would win. I've heard Naruto versus Medusa, actually, which I think is actually kind of cool. Again, like, Orochimaru versus Medusa, like, the main connection is, like, snakes and them being villains. But, like, you know, I don't think that's terrible. Like, I think that still works as a fight. I think some fights do require a lot of connections. Some I don't think do as much, but that's just my opinion. How do you feel about Superboy versus Gohan? I don't hate it, but I don't really think we need it either. Like, I think I'd rather them do a different cool fight rather than take up an episode slot. Death Battle, I mean, you know? Rather than take up an episode slot that could be used for a different cool fight, you know? So, I don't know. That's just me. If the Knight didn't fight Ori, who do you think he should fight? Oh, crap. I think I've heard some other Knight fights, but I don't really remember which ones they are. I honestly just really want to see Knight versus Ori, though. Mario versus Mickey Mouse, who wins? Do you believe in stats or hacks more? Well, okay. They're both important. It kind of just depends on how much of each one, like what the differences are. Like if someone's beating a person by a lot in terms of stats and the other character is only beating them by a bit in terms of hacks, then I'd want to say that, the stats character wins, unless like, it's the hacks are really strong, and like the other way around. But Mario versus Mickey Mouse, like again, Toon Force is kind of weird because I don't want to say it's ambiguous where their power levels are, but like sometimes their abilities don't really line up well with power. I don't know. My gut is telling me Mickey, but I can understand making the argument if you're saying Mario is better in terms of stats. I can see that argument. Hey Raptor, do you think Hitman Reborn will ever make an appearance on Death Battle? I think it's possible. Again, sometimes they use characters that not a lot of people have heard of before. Maybe a lot of people have heard of Hitman Reborn. I just don't really know that much about them. What's your preferred matchup for Kratos? I say Dante. I know that's an unpopular opinion for some people, but I say Dante. Hey yo. Another fun horror themed battle idea. Nemesis T-Type from Mr. X, or Mr. X from Resident Evil versus the Terminator T-800. You can choose which version of the character you would like to use. Okay, sure. Sounds pretty interesting. I don't really know the characters that well. I more so know Mr. X from Resident Evil. But yeah, seems interesting. Do you think there would possibly be a Goku vs. Superman 3 in the future? Yes, I do think it's possible. I'm not saying it will happen, but I think it's possible. And like I said, I just would not be interested. No connections, but Darkseid versus Goku. I think Darkseid claps. Yes, I would say so as well. And yeah, there really aren't many connections there. Is Decade versus Marvelous superior to Marvelous versus Luffy in your opinion? I think both have their own merits. I think either of them are fine, but I can understand if you think Decade versus Marvelous is superior. Like, I could definitely understand that. Would you rather eat the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man or a chocolate rabbits? I don't think I'd want to eat the Marshmallow Man, but I just like chocolate more than marshmallows anyway. So yeah, I'll just say the chocolate rabbits. Who wins between Mina Ashido versus Nora Valkyrie? My Hero Academia versus Ruby. Probably Mina, but I could be wrong. Because Ruby is not like the most powerful, and I don't think Nora is top tier either, but I could be wrong. Hey Raptor, who do you think wins Boba Fett versus Riddick? Both no prep. Who do I think wins? I mean, if we're looking at like the comics, I might want to say Boba Fett, but I could be missing something for Riddick. And if I am, then that's perfectly like possible. Venom versus Zeta 1. If we're looking at like God Venom, or like his most recent buffs, I'd probably want to say Venom. If not, maybe Zeta 1, but I don't know. Who would win, Akuma or... I never actually knew how to pronounce this guy's name, but the character from what is it? Fist of the North Star. I'd say he would win. Ryu versus Poe. Probably Poe, just because I think he's a lot more powerful. I think Apocalypse would win because he gets bigger, he'll have more blood, so he can last longer. I mean, I guess there's that. I just say, I think Doomsday has a good chance just because he's fought characters and beaten characters that I personally think are more powerful than Apocalypse. Who is your preferred for Kefka? I don't know. I've heard Kefka versus Joker. Sorry, I'm just going to adjust myself a little bit. I've heard Kefka versus Joker. Not sure if I really love that matchup that much, but I don't know. I haven't thought about it that much. Sonic versus Mega Man. If we're incorporating like super forms, I'd say Sonic for sure. Captain Cold versus Shocker. I understand the connections for that, and I actually think it's a really interesting idea. Shocker is definitely physically stronger, but Captain Cold has a lot of powerful technology. Like, his cold gun is actually really impressive, but I might want to say Shocker for that. Team Ruby versus Team TMNT. I think Team TMNT wins that, just because I think they're just stronger, but I could be wrong. Also, I just noticed, like, it's been on the slow mode for 5 minutes for a while, and I still haven't got caught up. So I think that that was probably the right move to change it to 5 minutes. Rick Sanchez versus Constantine. Okay, I guess you could do that if you wanted to. But who would win? I mean, I guess it kind of depends on how you interpret Rick's technology.
But like Constantine is really strong. I kind of want to say Constantine, but I could be wrong. Do you think Null and Medusa from Soul Eater fall in love? Do I think they literally do that? No. Do I think they would? I have no idea. I don't know that much about Medusa. But sure, if you want to have that in your fan fiction, go for it. What is a battle royale you want to see in Death Battle? I want to see the Fantastic Four battle royale. Some people might say it's boring. I honestly don't think so. I think the fact that they have such different power sets is really cool. And there are some people who might not know exactly how they would play off of each other, and Death Battle could be the perfect way to show them how that works, you know? So I think that's cool. MCU Hawkeye versus DCEU Batman. Well, Batman is definitely stronger than Hawkeye. Like, if he got in close, especially like that one scene from Batman v Superman, like, I'd want to say that, you know, like where he's fighting all the people in the warehouse, I mean, I'd want to say that, you know, if he got close, then he could wreck Hawkeye. But Hawkeye, I think, has a lot, like, if he uses his arrows well and keeps his distance, I want to say him. So I don't know. I think it kind of depends on whether or not Batman could get close before he dies. Bad Battle, Venom versus Black Canary. This one's been actually suggested before. I totally understand it. Kraven the Hunter versus Killer Croc would be cool too, I think. All right. I've heard more Lizard versus Killer Croc, although I've also heard Lizard versus Man-Bat. Although I've also heard Man-Bat versus Morbius, which is personally the one I'd want to see. But Kraven versus Killer Croc, all right, sounds cool. I think we're about to get Kyle Rayner versus Simon the Digger. Has been on personal animation, but I think get very excited, scared. Okay, I think I understand what you're saying. I definitely want to see it in Death Battle, but who knows when it will actually come. What is your favorite? Who is your favorite ice cream flavor? And what do you think about the Cuphead show? Well, I like chocolate the most. Chocolate's my favorite. And what do I think about the Cuphead show? I've seen the trailer for it, but that's all I've seen. Is there more? Like, has some of it actually come out yet? I haven't seen any of that, if that's the case. It seems interesting. Thoughts on Old Man Logan versus The Last Ronin? Thematically, I think that works. I don't know if it's the closest fight in the world, but I think it's pretty all right. Camo from Skylanders versus Venusaur from Pokemon. See, here's the problem. I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to scaling Skylanders. Like, I don't even know where to start. I'm sure if I did know where to start, then I'd be able to figure it out. But I'm not sure how Camo would relate to someone like Venusaur. Like, how he would compare, I mean. So I don't know. I really like Camo, though. I'd be rooting for Camo. He was one of my favorites in the first game. If Rune King Thor versus God of Destruction Vegeta happens, who wins? Probably Rune King Thor. I think he just scales to higher levels of power. Sarah Connor versus Ellen Ripley. Maybe Connor, but I could be wrong. I have to rewatch all of those movies. Luigi versus Shaggy. Shaggy always wins. Sorry about that. I just moved my green screen a little bit. Hopefully, again, like I said, there's a half decent chance things might go wrong. I don't think anything's gone wrong though yet. What else we got? Aesthetica of a Rogue Hero, and all those, are totally badass shows. Yes, thank you again. What about Dante versus Ghost Rider? It's whatever. I think it's okay. Not my favorite matchup in the world though. If you like it though, totally get it. By the way, for Waluigi versus Ginyu connections, are comedic purple villains who love posing, have threatening aura, have been important antagonists, but are now more spin-offs. Okay, yeah, that's actually pretty cool in terms of like their their evolution. That's actually pretty cool. People who want to see Goro versus Kenpachi, One Punch Man, versus Bleach, but the problem is that the matchup is never going to happen because Goro can't see Soul Reapers. Well, yeah, I guess if you don't have like characters that have like super spatial awareness, then it might be a little tough for them. Since video games act more like movies today, what is your favorite video game because of its cinematic feel? What is your favorite video game because of its cinematic feel? See, the problem is that I don't play a lot of video games right now. I do think, stuff like The Last of Us, I think is cool, but I don't know if that's really what you mean. Like, I don't know if that has like a huge cinematic feel in your mind. But I'm just playing a lot of Smash Bros, to be honest. But I do think there are a lot of video games where like they excel when it comes to like storytelling. Especially like The Last of Us Part 1 I thought was really good in terms of its story. But there are others where it's just like very much a video game for the sake of being a video game. Who's your preferred for the Doomslayer? I wouldn't mind seeing Master Chief versus Doomslayer like Part 2 or rematch or whatever. But I think also Spawn versus Doomslayer, I think that's fine. What do you think of Alistair versus Black Hat? Has been Hotel versus Villainous. I only know of Alistair, and even then, I don't know that much about what he's capable of. I don't think there's that much material with him out yet, actually. I think Black Hat, though, from what I've heard, might win, but Alistair might get more powerful. Who would win in a battle? Black Canary versus Jiro Kyoka. Kyoka, sorry. The Canary Cry might be enough, but if the Canary Cry is not enough, then I'm not sure if Black Canary would win. She's probably still a better fighter, though. I'll say Black Canary for now, but I could be wrong. What is your opinion on Gogeta coming to Death Battle? I think that'd be fine if they could get a good matchup for Gogeta. I'd say bring it on. The Dragon Ball fights nowadays are usually pretty good, so I'd say that I'd take that. Doomsday versus Dragon Ball Super Broly, who wins? If we're looking at both of the characters at their max, probably Doomsday. Who do you think Boba Fett will fight if it's not Predator? I would still like to see him versus Star-Lord or Riddick. I think it's probably going to be Wolf if it's not Predator, but I think it probably will be Predator. I'd be fine with either Boba Fett versus Predator or Boba Fett versus Wolf. Those are personally my favorites in terms of who we could fight. Raven versus Marceline, Teen Titans versus Adventure Time. If we're looking at just like Teen Titans, like just the show, then I'm not, maybe Raven would lose. But if we're looking at the comics, probably Raven would win. I don't know. I really need to catch up on my Adventure Time. Oma Zio versus Gilgamesh. Probably Gilgamesh. But I don't exactly know how the fate scaling works. Maybe Oma Zio, actually. It's hard to say. You think of TMNT scaling. This means like what I think of TMNT scaling, because I don't have all the information on that yet. I'd have to look more into that. If Venom came back to Death Battle, who would he face? My pick is Ryuko from Kill la Kill. If Venom were to come back, again, I don't know if Venom needs to come back again. If he were to come back, it would actually probably be as the God version. And in that case, I think it'd actually be fine if he fought Spawn, because it's a much closer fight at that point. What is your favorite matchup for Meta Knight? Like out of his potential opponents, I know Beta Ray Bill the best because he's a Marvel character. So I wouldn't mind that. But I think in terms of like an average of like closeness of a fight and connections, I might want to say Riku from Kingdom Hearts, but I don't know. I'll have to think about that more. Mac is from Operation Overdrive. Yes, I did think that was it because that was the other one I watched a lot. Also, Tai Lung versus Dai Shi. Yes, Overdrive and Jungle Fury were the two that I watched the most. But Tai Lung versus Dai Shi, maybe Dai Shi, but it depends on how you want to scale Tai Lung. John Wick versus Punisher. Who would win, John Wick or the Punisher? Probably Punisher, just because like the physics in Marvel and the type of world it is, it's probably just more over the top. What else we got? Who would win, Victor Crowley or Carnage? Oh, geez. If Victor Crowley can get past the regeneration, maybe he would win, although I'm not exactly sure how powerful he is in terms of like physical strength, though. And like Carnage, like if he could just like torture him and like use all of his symbiote abilities, that might be it. So I don't know. I kind of want to say Carnage, but that's really just because I don't know that much about Victor Crowley. Green Goblin versus Dr. Octopus versus Venom. Green Goblin does have like his pumpkin bombs, which could be effective against Venom, but I don't know if that would be enough to actually like take Venom out for good. My gut is saying Venom, but I could be wrong. What do you think about Mob versus Saki or Psyche? I don't know. I don't really know those characters that well. I know Mob better, but that's really only because of Death Battle. Sounds like an interesting fight though. Have you been playing Legends Arceus? No, I have not. That's like Pokemon, right? I know Arceus is a character from Pokemon. I have not been playing it, but it seems all right. Between the three movies Spider-Man, who has the best spider sense? Well, in Far From Home, Tom Holland was really struggling with his spider sense, but then he got better. Of course, we saw that scene at the end where he was like going through, like fighting all the drones just with his spider sense, essentially. So you could make the argument that maybe like that's outdone everything the other guys have done. Although Toby does have some good moments with his spider sense, but sometimes it just doesn't work. And Andrew Garfield is kind of like, his spider sense is a lot more subtle. So I actually don't know. That's interesting. You can kind of have like highs and lows for both of them. But maybe Tom actually, because again at the end of Far From Home he was able to do some crazy stuff. But that's kind of tough. I would want to say Toby though, if there were not moments where it just doesn't work, you know? Because I think he might have the best moments out of everyone. What else we got? All right, we're starting to catch up a little bit. I think again, I think it's a good thing that we really lessened how often people can ask questions. Again, I really didn't want to do that, but I want to be sure to get to everybody, you know? Saitama versus All Might. I'm pretty sure Saitama wins, even if we're not reading into the whole, oh, he beats everybody. I'm pretty sure Saitama just has better feats in general. My preferred matchup is Doctor Doom versus Black Adam. What do you think? I think that's fine. Like, I definitely think that's more interesting than Doctor Doom versus Lex Luthor, because again, I really didn't want that fight. Still turned out to be a fine episode, though. But I think in terms of just a matchup on its own, I think it's okay. What if Omni-Man versus what if Omni-Man versus All Might? Again, I think Omni-Man is probably more powerful based on what I've seen and heard and read. But, you know, maybe I'm missing something about All Might. All Might is still really strong. I just don't think he's that strong, like, in comparison. What is your favorite Pokemon? Probably Mewtwo. I'm kind of basic, but Mewtwo's just the one I've gravitated towards to the most. I also really like some siren is outside. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear that. It's really caught me off guard. If you're looking for a more silly answer, maybe Licky Tongue. That was like the first Pokemon card I ever got, and I just thought it was hilarious. What is your most wanted joke matchup? I don't know if I really want that many joke matchups. It's more so that I want like weird matchups. Like what was it? Inigo Montoya versus Puss in Boots. I would love to see that. Not really a joke matchup, but it's more of a silly one. I guess if you really want some joke matchups from me, maybe Hobbs versus Tigger. You know, Hobbs from Calvin and Hobbes, Tigger from Winnie the Pooh. And of course, there's also Riddler versus Super Y. What was it? Roderick versus Itachi. That stuff is always fun. Spike Siegel versus Revy. Don't really know who those characters are, but sounds like an interesting fight. Who would win between Okayasu versus Kuwabara? JoJo's Bizarre Adventure versus Yu Yu Hakusho. I think Kuwabara wins, but I'm not really sure. I think it's likely that the Yu Yu Hakusho character is just physically stronger, but JoJo's characters have some pretty good hacks. So it kind of depends on whether or not, you know, that would be able to overcome the physical stats. So I don't know. I could definitely see Kuwabara winning though. Freedom Gundam versus American Kaiju. I know more about Gundam, so I'm going to say Gundam for now, but I could be completely wrong. Basketball is better than football. It's cooler. I totally agree, but I can understand why other people would think differently. Thoughts on Neptune versus Pyra? Hyperdimension Neptunia versus Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Sounds like a cool matchup. I know more about Pyra, but again, that's literally only because of Smash Bros. But I know that Xenoblade characters can get really powerful. And I don't know like how powerful Hyperdimension Neptunia gets, although based on the name, sounds like it would probably get crazy. But yeah, I don't know who would win. Sounds like a cool fight though. Probably be rooting for Pyra. Who would win, Veggie from Hazbin Hotel or Red Hood? Again, I have no idea how powerful the Hazbin Hotel characters are supposed to be. Red Hood definitely has more experience. There's a lot more material with him in it. But yeah, can't really say a definitive answer. What would you want the next remake to be? For me, it's Peach versus Zelda. I guess my dream remake would be like Luke versus Harry, but that's only because I really love both the characters and I'd love to see them both get the modern death battle treatment. Sorry. In terms of what's likely though, probably Master Chief versus Doomslayer. One death battle I really want to see for years is Clayface versus Sandman. I definitely like to see that one too. That's a Marvel versus DC fight. I think that could be, or more specifically, a Batman versus Spider-Man fight. I think that could be really cool. Do you like to see Death Battle do a 2v2 battle again? Yes, absolutely. I think in general, 2v2 matchups can like really add some flavor to the season. Whether it's like Mordecai and Rigby versus Finn and Jake, or Hickam and Toothless versus Hero and Baymax, you know, all that stuff. And I know there's more out there too. I think all that could be cool. Who wins, Kitaro versus Yusuke? George, oh, not George, but from those universes like Yu Yu Hakusho and GGG, is that how you pronounce it? No Kitaro. Character that do spirit finger abilities and fought demons. Well, by that alone, like, again, not the grandest amount of connections, but I think it's okay. Hi Garrett. Hi Lucas. How you doing? What do you think of Lara Croft versus Indiana Jones? I don't think we need to bring Lara Croft back to Death Battle if we're talking about Death Battle specifically. If we're talking about just a matchup on its own, I do think Nathan Drake is a better matchup for Lara Croft, but I can understand the reasoning for Indiana Jones. I think it's fine. As a fellow Canadian, how do you feel about poutine? I have not had poutine that much, actually, and my fellow Canadians are going to absolutely destroy me for that. But I have had it before, and, it's good. All Canadians know that poutine is good. There are other Canadian things, though, that I've had more often, so I'm not a total fraud. What do you think about Death Battle Research Team? Because they got a few more debunked videos. Again, okay. This might be a bit of an unpopular opinion, and this is something I've actually wanted to talk about on the channel before. I don't think Death Battle does bad research. I don't think the researchers are doing a bad job. I think when a lot of people say that Death Battle does bad research, what they really mean is that they have, like, iffy interpretations, because a lot of that comes from the writing, like how they write, calculations, how they do all of that. But I think a lot of the time, especially like from the Q&As or the Death Battle cast, we see that like they are very well informed on the characters that they're talking about. It's not like they didn't do a lot of research. And so when people say like, oh yeah, they do bad research, it kind of comes off the implication that they didn't do that much research or they were researching in the wrong spots. But I don't think that's true at all. I think it's more so their interpretations of feats and of characters is what people mostly do not like. So I think the research team is fine. That's just my opinion, though. Thoughts on Devilman versus Etrigan? Sounds pretty cool. I would definitely be rooting for Etrigan. I think he's a funny character, but I don't know. I don't know exactly who would win. Green Lantern versus Sonic. Sonic can go super and hyper. I still want to say Green Lantern will win that though, because lanterns in DC are stupid strong. What's your favorite trailer maker? Me? No, I'm kidding. Absolutely not. My favorite is probably Avalos. I think he makes pretty good ones. And to be fair, I don't watch a lot of Death Battle trailers in the first place. Who wins? Conquer versus Gertrude. Conquer's Bad Fur Day versus I Hate Fairyland. I don't know those characters that well. I feel like I've been saying that over and over. But that sounds pretty cool. I think I've actually heard of both of those franchises, but I don't know exactly who would win. Sounds like a cool fight, though. Alucard versus Hellboy. I did talk about this before. I think that's a fine fight. I personally want to see Hellboy versus Nero, and I do think Hellboy would beat Alucard, but that's just my opinion. What are your thoughts on the matchup Joker versus Giorno? I think it's a cool fight. I think it's a fine fight. Not going to say who I think wins because I do not want to get eaten alive. And if any of you are asking, yes, I do have my own opinions on that already. That is a fight that I have looked into a little more now, but I am not going to disclose anything at this time. If we could have a scientist vehicle fight, then I would want Lightning McQueen. Oh, not scientist. If we could have a sentient vehicle fight, then I would want Lightning McQueen versus Thomas the Tank Engine or Kit versus Gadget Mobile. What are your opinions on these? Lightning McQueen versus Thomas I think could be kind of funny. And then Kit, I do know about Kit. And there's also like Knight Rider, right? I know that's not part of your question. But Kit versus Gadget Mobile, I think that could be fine too. If you want like a more serious one, then yeah, I think that one could work. I meant alternate universe Doofenshmirtz from the Dimension movie. Yeah, I knew who you meant. I just said Doofenshmirtz to shorten it. And Nefarious from the new Ratchet and Clank gang. I meant the brother Yin Yang from the Amalgam universe. They represent the DC Marvel. Okay, I see. Well, then in terms of Yin Yang versus them, I don't really know if you can make a judgment on that, because again, it's just the whole omnipotent thing. There's a matchup for Lord Boros. His best connections for a matchup is Battle Beast versus Lord Boros. I think it's the best matchup for Lord Boros. I'll be pissed if they do Lord Boros versus Frieza. Well, I don't know if they have any plans on doing that. But yeah, I know who Battle Beast is, of course. I haven't really thought about that before, but that sounds interesting. How powerful would you say my Link series characters are? I answered this earlier. I don't really know exactly how powerful they are. Again, like I haven't like really gone in depth and tried analyzing them like that. Because even though I do like doing this stuff on YouTube, like versus debating to me always comes second to the enjoyment of characters and universes. I never want, you know, my quote unquote obsession with versus debating to overshadow my enjoyment of characters and universes. So it's not really my biggest priority most of the time. My first thought is not, hey, how powerful would this character be if they did this? It's just, oh look, they did a cool thing. Moving on. You know, that's more so how I roll. Who wins Meisuke? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Nueno versus Haji. Hell Teacher Nube versus Blood Plus. Character that exorcists and have a demonic arm. I don't know which universe like gets to higher levels. Maybe Haji, if I had to pick, but I'm not sure. Who would King Shark face if he came to Death Battle? Can either be Stallone, comics, Harley Quinn show, or any other version of King Shark. Well, if he was coming to Death Battle, it would be the comic version. They'd use clips from like the Harley Quinn show and the Suicide Squad, but it would be the comic version. And I've heard King Shark versus Tiger Shark, but that's like really bare bones similarities. I'm sure if you dug a little deeper, you could find something that has more to do with their backstories. He's like half shark god, so maybe you could base it off of that. Unpopular opinion, but I hate chocolate. Get out. No, I'm kidding. I can actually understand that. Sometimes I'm really not in the mood for chocolate. And kind of depends on the type of chocolate, too. But yeah, if you don't like chocolate, that's perfectly fine. Who would win, Sinestro or Stoles from Hell of a Boss? Probably Sinestro, unless, like, just Stoles is, like, written, like, described as being way more powerful. Shredder versus Deathstroke. I'd say if we're including Super Shredder, then probably Shredder. If we're not, I could still see the argument being made for Shredder if we're scaling him to the Turtles, which we should. But Deathstroke still has done a lot of impressive things, but maybe Shredder. What's your next One Piece arc prediction? I want an arc about Luffy saving Sabo. I'm not caught up with One Piece enough to start predicting arcs, but I could actually see that happening, sure. Yeah, why not? Gojo versus Kakashi, not sure. I want Kakashi to win, but I don't know. I don't know that much about Gojo. Suika Ibuki versus Bowser. Again, Mario characters can get really high. I don't know exactly, though, how high the Tohu Project characters can get. I'll say Bowser for now, but I could be completely wrong. Luke Skywalker versus Naruto. I'm pretty sure Luke wins that. Because, at least, like, if we're looking at Legends characters, I mean, because Legends is stupid strong. So yeah, especially Luke, like, he's, like, top tier. Naruto is really strong, though. Like, that whole calculation for him busting, like, a hole through the moon, yes, that required all of his chakra and not just, like, a little bit. But, it still was just his base form. So he would naturally be stronger than that, So, but I still think, though, Luke Skywalker probably wins. What DC versus non-Marvel matchup do you want to happen? I'd be fine with seeing SCP-682 versus Doomsday. I know some people really don't want to see it. I'd be fine with it. And also Simone the Digger versus Kyle Rayner, I would say. Captain America versus Deathstroke. Captain America, likely, if we're looking at like the best feats he's ever had, then he's probably stronger and faster. But Deathstroke does have some up on Cap. Like, he's got better armor. He's got, like, more destructive weapons. Of course, Captain America does have the shield, though. And he's got the healing factor. So, yeah, it's a bit hard to say for me, personally. I could see the argument being made for Captain America, though, just saying that he could overpower him. Kate Bishop versus Katniss Everdeen. If we're looking at the comics, probably Kate, just because of the scaling and the amount of trick arrows she has. What about Ruby versus Ladybug? Ruby versus Miraculous Ladybug. I haven't thought about that one before. That sounds pretty interesting. In terms of who I think would win, probably Ladybug would win that. That's just my guess. What is your dream matchup? Probably Stitch versus Rocket Raccoon. I still really want to see that fight. What about Loki? Oh yeah, Loki versus Kefka. That's one I haven't, I forgot about. But yeah, that's actually not that bad. And Marks versus Kefka, don't really know that much about Marks. But Loki versus Kefka is fine. Yo, Raptor, love your vids. Thank you so much. What do you think of our... Archaon from Warhammer versus Arthas from Warcraft. I don't know who would win, but in terms of a fight on its own from those kinds of universes, that actually sounds really cool. I definitely wouldn't mind seeing something like that. Titan versus Homelander. In terms of who would win that fight, I would say Titan probably, but I think it's pretty close. Well, I don't know, but like it's one of the closer fights that Homelander's in. I think it's a fine fight. And do you think Magneto should be scaled to other Omega level mutants? If Magneto versus Tetsuo happens, more popular than Tetsuo versus Mewtwo and Magneto versus Dr. Polaris, to be honest. I think probably yeah, because Magneto is really strong. Like, he is one of the strongest mutants, like, mainstream-wise. I definitely think they should scale him up to that, but who knows, maybe other people have other opinions on that. Who will win Digimon Leader Battle Royale? Tai and Agumon, and then the other ones, which I'm not going to try to read all of them right now. I don't know all the Digimon leaders. I'll say Tai and Agumon for now, but I could be completely wrong. What is your favorite Death Battle episode? I would say probably... Again, like I've answered this before, I have a lot of favorite ones like Goku Black versus Reverse Flash, Wolverine versus Raiden. If I had to pick one right now, it would probably either be Naruto versus Ichigo or TJ Combo versus Balrog. Favorite Kamen Rider matchup besides Draken versus Oma, of course, probably Captain America versus Kamen Rider Ichigo. I think Beast Boy also has a Kamen Rider fight as well. Like, that's been in circulation, but I don't know that much about that one. Who would win between Raven DC and Ryuko Kill la Kill if? I still think even with if, Raven probably wins, but that's a lot closer then. I do count The Last of Us being treated like a movie. Okay, so I guess it wasn't the worst example then. Spider-Man versus Darth Vader. I'm pretty sure I would say Darth Vader, especially if we're looking at Legends. What else? Okay, So yeah, just as a heads up, the stream ends in 15 minutes. I'm probably not going to get through the rest of the questions. But I'll just go until it hits like, probably until it hits like the hour, and then I'll just stop it right there. Just want to throw that out there. Who are your other Smash mains aside from Wolf? Cloud, Sonic, Terry, and Link are the ones that I play in like a 5-on-5 squad strike. Sonic was my main for Brawl, and I still play him. And Cloud was my main for the fourth game, and I still play him. But I also play Terry and Link now a little more. John Constantine versus Reidu Kazunoa. DC versus Shin Megami Tensei. No idea who would win, but that sounds pretty cool. Again, I don't know that many Constantine matchups. What are your thoughts on Black Manta versus Killmonger and who would win? I think it's fine. I understand the connections. I think thematically it works. In terms of who I think would win, I would definitely want to say Black Manta. But I think as like a thematic matchup, it's fine. Hey, how you doing? Fortnite in DB Ben Troller? No, absolutely not. Thoughts on Carnage versus Carmine? Oh yeah, that's another one I've heard before. So you guys know more about this than I do, let's be honest. I think that's fine. In terms of who would win, I think, have I heard Carnage more so before? I don't know. I think that's a fine matchup. From that comment, it seems you don't think Green Goblin can be Venom anymore, whereas your who and why seem to go the other way. Well, you know, sometimes opinions change, right? Like, if I was to say that I totally agree with every aspect of all my who and why fights, I gotta be the most stubborn motherfucker out there, you know? So I really can't do that. And honestly, no offense, like, I'm not trying to call anybody out here, but I don't think it's fair for people to say, like, oh, well, you know, you said it in this video that came out like 5 years ago that blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, things are going to change, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, literally nothing. Should Bowser come back to Death Battle? If there was a good matchup for him, I'd say sure. And actually, I wouldn't mind seeing him analyzed a little better, to be honest. So sure. Who do you think would be a good opponent for Bugs Bunny? Please not Mickey. I don't know any other opponents for Bugs Bunny. Maybe Roger Rabbit? But like, Bugs versus Mickey is the one that people talk about. It's the one I want to see. Although I don't think you want to see it. But, you know, that's just me. Who will win movie Laura Croft versus movie Nathan Drake? Well, I don't know anything about movie Nathan Drake yet. But it is like I think it is a more high budget movie. So maybe Nathan's going to be doing some crazy stuff. I have seen the trailer for it. It seems pretty crazy. Who would win Alucard or Teen Titans Go? Like all the characters from Teen Titans Go versus Alucard? I'm sure Teen Titans Go has done some really crazy stuff that unironically puts them at a ridiculous level. Luz versus Anne is interesting because they have been through similar situations but have very different power sets. See, I really like that, you know, like when the stuff is more thematic rather than, oh, they have similar powers. I do think there are some fights that have where, you know, similar powers really works, but I don't think all of them need that. What else we got? Omnimon, Digimon versus Gogeta, Dragon Ball. Seems okay. I don't really know that much about Omnimon. I've heard that fight being thrown around before. Don't really have too many big opinions on that. What are your thoughts on the matchup Deathstroke versus Taskmaster? I think it's a good matchup, but again, I'm not really 100% sure who would win. What is the death battle that you believe has the most wasted potential? Well, part of me wants to say Doctor Strange versus Doctor Fate, but I don't think it had like a ton of wasted potential. I just think it had some wasted potential. If you're thinking about like the most wasted potential, maybe Thanos versus Darkseid. What is the death? Oh, sorry, that's the same question. What else we got? Ratchet and Clank versus Groot and Rocket. Based on Marvel shenanigans, probably Groot and Rocket, but I could be wrong. Just going to adjust a little bit. Hope I don't hit the microphone. What else we got? Taskmaster versus Prometheus. I'm pretty sure Prometheus. I think his technology is a lot more impressive. If either Godzilla or Mechagodzilla made a comeback, which incarnation would you use, and who should either one fight, if any opponent comes to mind? Well, they've kind of like incorporated a lot of stuff from Godzilla. Like they almost kind of do like a composite version. I'd assume they'd probably do that. I wouldn't mind though if they just wanted to use like the regular MonsterVerse Godzilla, like the most recent one. I wouldn't mind if they wanted to do that. In terms of who he would fight, and Mechagodzilla I don't think is going to come back. If Godzilla were to fight somebody else, maybe, I don't know, the Powerpuff Girls, let's say that. What do you think about Adam Eve versus Scarlet Witch? I think Scarlet Witch is probably a lot more powerful than Adam Eve, but I guess it's okay. I don't know. I feel like you can come up with a better matchup for Adam Eve, if I'm being honest. Mewtwo versus Tetsuo Shima is my favorite matchup than Magneto versus Magneto. Sorry, favorite matchup than Magneto versus Tetsuo Shima. I know what you're trying to say, and I think there's a chance Mewtwo could fight Tetsuo, but I think it's probably going to be Magneto. And I like Magneto more than Mewtwo, to be honest, even though Mewtwo is my favorite Pokemon. But that's just me. Would you rather see Jason versus Freddy or Jason versus Michael Myers? Definitely Jason versus Michael. That's the one I want to see so badly in terms of Halloween fights. Who do you think wins between Steven Universe versus Oraheim from Bleach? Well, Steven Universe can get really strong. Like, he's like star level at least. I don't know how powerful the strongest characters in Bleach can get. I don't know. I'll say Steven Universe for now, but I could be wrong. What's your favorite food? Probably lasagna. I really like lasagna, but pizza and chicken wings are also really high up there for me. Think of a DC versus Think of a DC versus non-Marvel matchup where the DC character loses. Again, it seems to be the general consensus that SCP-682, just from the way that he's like written and portrayed, being an SCP character and having those powers that he has, would beat Doomsday. And maybe Simone would beat Kyle, but I'm not sure about that one. What do you look forward to in 2022? I look forward to going back to in-person classes in my school. I look forward to doing more videos and working more during the summer. I do look forward to that because I really need to do that. And yeah, just improving my skills in basically every aspect. And hopefully doing more fun things, like with people. Hopefully COVID doesn't... Because Canada gets screwed over by COVID like every other week. So, yeah. Out of all your 3 trailers, what is your favorite one that you made? I think the Galactus versus Unicron trailer is the most realistic one. Like, it's the one that I think looks the most like an actual death battle trailer. In terms of which one's my favorite, yeah, I might say that one. But I don't think any of them are, like, terrible. But I don't think any of them are great either. Because, again, like, I haven't made any of them before. Which actor was your favorite who voiced Frieza, assuming you saw a DBZ and DBZ Kai? Well, I have seen some of that, but I don't know the names of the actors. Probably the one from DBZ, though. Who would win, King Shark or Kisame from Naruto? Probably King Shark. Like, he's done some crazy things. He's fought, like, Superboy before. So if he's fought him, I don't see why he couldn't handle, like, some of those Naruto characters, you know? It's kind of just as simple as that. Who do you think wins Infernape versus Yang? Pokemon versus Ruby? Probably Infernape, I'd probably say. I could be wrong. Who's your favorite guest voice actor from Death Battle so far? Didn't they get the guy who voiced Vegeta to voice Solid Snake? I think that's really cool because like that was I think that was the character he most wanted to play, he said, and then he got to play him on Death Battle. Also, it was kind of funny to see Matt Pat play who's the guy, the leader of the Voltron Force. Obviously very silly with no connections, but who do you think would win between Steve with commands and creative mode and Jiren? Steve. Let's say Steve. Harry Potter versus Marnie Piper. Don't know that much about Marnie Piper. I would definitely be rooting for Harry, though. Harry Potter's awesome. I hate the peoples that have to get some kind of debunk to all the death battles and a problem's intolerable. Okay, I think I know what you're saying. Yeah, debunks can kind of get annoying, but I don't hate people who make them. If they want to make them, then that's their business. Movie Bumblebee versus movie 2018 Venom. I didn't see the Bumblebee movie because I have only seen one of the Transformers movies. Although I heard the Bumblebee movie was actually pretty decent. I don't know. Bumblebee would be pretty big. I don't know what the regen situation is really like for Venom. I don't know what that's supposed to be like. Who would win Fuse Zamasu or Ultron Vision? So like the Infinity Ultron guy. Vision, like Ultron might actually win that because he was able to like sense the Watcher and actually like break through the reality. But Fuse Zamasu is still really strong. He might win. The brothers in Yang from 1 Mile Gum represent the franchise itself, and their fuse they can technically be considered to your zero omnipotence because they represent a thing above fiction. All right. What would you give to get Neo versus Kirito this season? LOL. I don't know if I'd give that much. Neo versus Kirito is... I'm kind of boring because I don't have, like, strong opinions on that. Like, I know some people really like it. I know some people really hate it. But, like, for me, it's whatever. What's your preferred matchup for Sinestro? Maybe Terumi from BlazBlue. But that's, like, just the big one that comes to mind. I feel like Destro can absolutely beat Shredder. After all, he's defeated most of the Justice League, and that's saying something. Yes, that absolutely is saying something. You gotta keep in mind, though, how much prep time that goes into that, and how much prep time he wouldn't have in a death battle, aka 0. But still, yeah, that's still really impressive. Who wins Null versus Madara and Aizen? Still probably Null. I would say Null. What else we got? Sorry, it just refreshed on me. I don't really like when it does that. Wonder Tweak versus Ryuko. South Park versus Miraculous Battle of Elemental. Maybe Wonder Tweak, but I don't know. What season will Death Battle get up to before the end of the series? And when they do, would you like to see a Death Battle spin-off of the dummy and Jocelyn, if I spelled it right, wrong, the IT girl? I mean, like, if they're gonna do a spin-off of Death Battle, like, and they say like, oh, we're done Death Battle, let's do a spin-off, I'd say, why don't they just keep doing Death Battle the way it is? I don't know. But I guess, sure, if they really wanted to go that route, I'd watch it. Cable or Trunks, who would you want to win, and who do you think wins? I'd want Cable to win, and Cable might win. Trunks is more like, grandiose in terms of the power. Like, you can, because that a lot of people like say like, oh, this Dragon Ball Z character should have won or whatever. But I feel like that's because a lot of their action is like portrayed to be more over the top. Whereas in comics, it's like, it doesn't look as over the top, but it still very much is, it's a comic book. So it's harder to really portray that, or like to really like see how that works, if that makes any sense. But yeah, in terms of who would win, maybe Cable. I have to go now, and that was a fun Q&A, so goodbye. Okay, thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate that. Dr. Doofenshmirtz versus Rick Sanchez. Phineas and Ferb versus Rick and Morty. I want to say Doof, but I could see the argument being made for Rick. Yang, wow, a lot of Yang fights. Yang versus, is that VI or just V? I think it's just V. League of Legends. Maybe V, but I don't know that much about V. Yang still has good things going for her. Opinion on Brooke versus Lord Raptor. I'd love to see that fight. It's such a funny fight to me. I'd love to see it. I think it would just be like a really fun new idea, to spice up the season. I can find this funny to Godzilla say, who brought the stat Marshmallow Man because I'm bringing the fire Nero joke. Okay. What's your preferred matchup for Azula from Avatar The Last Airbender? Maybe Cinder from... maybe Cinder from, what is it? Ruby, of course. But I don't know. I think there are some other ones you could do. Goku Black versus Ultron from What If? Probably Ultron from What If. Batman versus Han Solo. I mean, I don't know what Han Solo has done in the Legends, but I don't know. Just a heads up, we only have 1 minute left, and like I said, once it gets to 4, I'm gonna stop like dead. So just want to put that out there. Damian Wayne versus Hit Girl. DC versus Kick-Ass. Probably Damian Wayne. Naruto Ninetales versus Goku God Form. Naruto versus Dragon Ball is a classic battle. Well, I think probably Goku wins that, but that's just me. And oh, you say you think it's a tie. Okay, I guess I can understand that, but I personally say Goku. What are your thoughts on Optimal Prime versus Mega Man X? I've heard that fight thrown around before. I think it's okay. I think maybe Optimal Prime would win, but I could see it going to Mega Man X as well. It's hard to say. Nero versus Enzo Matrix Gang. Saint Walker on Medusa and Null. Oh, actually, we're almost at the end. Hang on. How about I try to get through the end, and then when I get to the very end, I'll just stop. Saint Walker on Medusa and Null. Is this like a versus question? I'm not sure. I think Null wins against all those characters, though. Thoughts on Indominus Rex versus Sharktopus? Is Sharktopus, like, is that from the Jurassic World thing? Or no, was the Indominus? I don't even remember. Sounds like a fun fight, though. Ben Reilly versus Heretic. I think probably Ben Reilly, but I'm not 100% sure. Last question, favorite FMT trailer? Oh, I don't remember exactly which ones are the FMT trailers. Sorry. Or wait, am I getting that wrong? I don't know. Omni-Man versus Bardock. I like the fight a lot. In terms of who would win, probably... I kind of want to say Omni-Man, but I could see the argument for Bardock. Jango Fett or Leonard Snart? In terms of who would win, probably Jango. And Sakura Haruno versus She-Hulk, probably She-Hulk. Raphael versus Roy Harper, probably Raphael. Okay, there are probably some more questions coming in, but I'm going to cut it off there because those are the last ones that I see. So thank you guys so much for watching. This is going to be the end of the stream. I really appreciate you guys coming out and just asking questions. We have a fun chat. I think, I do kind of want to see if I can do some other kinds of streaming stuff, just like how I want to do more interactive content, but I'm not 100% sure how that's going to work or when that's going to happen or anything like that. But I do really appreciate you guys showing up for this final Q&A video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. It seems like we got a lot of people in, like we got 35 likes on the video. That's really awesome. We got a lot of viewers all at once. But yeah, no, I do really appreciate all of that. Actually, maybe can I get rid of slow-mo just for a second, just in case anyone has any like final words they want to say? Stayed for the full stream. Let's go. Yeah, so I just, in case anyone wants to say their goodbyes before I shut off. See, everybody's saying goodbye. There are a couple more questions actually. Who should fight Martian Manhunter? I'd say Silver Surfer. And that's really the last question there. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. And this will be up on YouTube, but a little later. Like it'll just take some time for YouTube to process it. But thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. See you later and have a good night.